Right. Sorry I couldn't
Yeah,
make it last
it's not
time.
all about you, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's a busy guy. So speaking of Matt, I think for those of us who don't know, Matt's son Xander just got his yellow belt. I want to say in
Yes,
karate.
sir.
Very
Sir.
cool.
How old is he?
He's 7.
7 years old. Xander's
Kind of the funny thing is he's been a white belt for 2 years. I was starting to visualize him as like a Will Ferrell character at 35, so the white belt,
He broke a board, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Did you like my musical montage? I put the Karate Kid soundtrack to it.
Loved
Did
it.
you hear it? Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, congrats to the X-Man.
Thank
And in other news, Don, or Marcus, as we like to know him, as we know him, has been running I don't know if you guys saw this on the boards, but the Pathfinder 2 version 2.0 rule set, playtest rules are out. And Don has been running on Friday nights for the last 3 or 4 Friday nights, playtest rule scenarios. And I was just talking with him a little bit about that before the rest of you came on, and it almost got to the point where I was going to ask him the primary question, which was
We've almost drove him to drinking like twice. Oh wait, he does drink.
Yeah, Don doesn't need any extra encouragement.
Well, I was talking to Bob about this also, and it's quite possible that, like Dungeons and Dragons, I'm going to like odd-numbered games.
Well, so that's what I wanted to ask you. What's your first thoughts as DM on Pathfinder 2 in the playtest mode? What are you thinking? What do you like? What do you not like? Lint in my computer.
They've done the monster stats differently, so it is easier to keep track of them.
Okay.
I haven't ran any high level monsters yet, but they say that those are going to be kind of easier to read and saying, here's their big powers. Go ahead and make sure you use these at some point. The general consensus is people like the 3 actions.
Okay.
Haven't decided if I like the skills yet, but we'll see. I have a couple more, scenarios to run before I start really making any decisions about it.
Well, they did put up the Open Gaming board. Put up the Pathfinder 2 playtest SRD today. Went live. So it's up. It's real rudimentary compared to the
Right.
Yeah, it's not very good. But they'll get it sorted out.
I'm interested in seeing how it turns out. I missed the whole 3.5 craze because I had stopped playing during the era of 3.5. So it was a struggle for me to, as you know, start back with less here, just trying to understand everything I had to keep track of.
It was it was a bit of a rocky path for you, Matt, but you've managed nicely. Now, but even back when you were a regular player, you didn't play D&D, did you? You were telling me it was what the hell was your favorite game?
Well, I played Call of Cthulhu a lot, but I played the Prince Valiant rules, Pendragon, all the Ars Magica stuff. I played basically
Ars
everything.
Magica, that's the one you were talking
Ars Magica, and then there are a lot of different GURP variants. So some of the people I played with them were GURP playtesters, so we had a shit ton of GURP stuff laying around.
That's something you don't hear very often. It's like, I had a shit ton of GURP stuff.
Yeah. There's an ointment for that.
That's a phrase that I never thought I would hear very much.
Yeah, there's an ointment for that you can take. Yeah.
Just rub the little balm on it, and it'll go away in a couple of days.
The GURPS will go away. Yeah.
All right. So, for the benefit of Matt, who did not read the litany of emails that went out,
I read all the emails up till about mid-afternoon today, so I think I caught up with the whole battle and the defeat of the demon, and then there was the initial questions of what, how can we min-max our day and cheat less out of keeping a full extra day here. That was basically where we left off, right?
I don't know that it's going to work. All right, so legitimately, the initial plan was that everybody, so clearing out the denizens. Nekaleth was the last denizen of the temple. So the temple is, it wouldn't take you but a couple of minutes to sort of wander around and take a look. And the temple is free of ghouls and gargoyles. There's nobody there anymore. So you've completed that one out of the 3. everyone sort of assumed that the second of the three would be the casting of, the bless, the to consecrate the temple area that Lothar was going to do, probably with Flashart's, sort of assistance and that kind of stuff, since it is a temple of Iomedae and Lothar. Is Lothar on? Chuck, are you back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Lothar was going to do. Lothar's a priest of Erastil, but Erastil and Iomedae are certainly, see eye to eye on a great many subjects of doctrine and theology. So that would work nicely and not be a problem. So that's two. The other two things that you guys had looked at, there's only 5 possibles. So, and the one that was you guys were completely unable to do was to dispel the desecration. So, so it really came down to which one of the 3, the 2 that you were going to do for your third task. The one, on one hand, you had, the opportunity to distribute the cache of healing potions, which Gato, during the lengthy email that I sent out as a reminder earlier today, pointed out are hidden in the altar. Now, I wasn't sure if you guys found those before or not. I don't think so.
I knew it just because that's a standard Iomedaean thing, right?
Standard Iomedaean thing that, usually there's some sort of healing magic stashed away in the altar, or some sort of temple area kind of stuff. It's just something Iomedaeans do. So you would have probably discovered them eventually, but Gato was like, I know that they're there, that kind of stuff. And so you can distribute those, and I believe the thing is, give all the healing potions to an army of righteous crusaders, which your army certainly qualifies.
Yeah, we're righteous-ish.
Yeah, so distributing those potions to Geyer and his guys would certainly work. The other one was to basically clean up the temple compound, which I assumed would take multiple people. I mean, the place is pretty trashed, so I assumed it would be multiple people taking a whole day to clean it up sufficiently where Iomedae would be okay with it. Until Gordon came by.
Way to go, Gordon.
Yeah, and then Gordon came in and basically ruined the entire plan by saying, look, I have these cantrips, and Gordon confirmed for me, Bardos can do cantrips more or less at will, correct?
Yeah.
All casters can.
All casters can. So that's what I thought. I wasn't sure. Which means that basically he has both mending and clean as cantrips, which he can basically go around. It would take a little while for him to go throughout the entire compound and do all this.
I don't have clean, but Illandar has mending as well.
Okay, so you guys could collaborate and basically have this place shape. Early, before noon, certainly. So which from my point of view, when I was putting this together, was basically the idea was, look, you can do something that gets Lothar's going to cast the spell, relatively quickly after dawn. The time constraint is how fast you finish this other job. Distributing the healing potions, it's done in a heartbeat.
One question left.
Huh?
Now, when you first told me about this offline, you impressed upon me that this is going to suck up some of our rations as we hang around to do this, which is a major concern. But then did I read through the emails that we found some additional rations here?
Well, Gato pointed out to you guys Gato did. So he pointed out to you guys that he was captured as a member of a caravan, and that one of the things that the demon was doing was attacking caravans, capturing the people, selling the prisoners to the World Wound leaders and taking them deeper into the World Wound, but also then reselling the supplies and things like that. And he had a very lucrative kind of business going by doing this. But as Gato would say, the caravan that he was a part of had supplies in it, and those were the crates that Farina had seen in the same room and in the adjacent room where she'd actually discovered Gato, who was tied up and gagged at the time. So, go ahead.
Did we get a quantity or army style wise?
So you look through those. Going over there, Gato obviously would lead you guys over there. You would find 4 units of food and drink, which would take your resource count up a little higher. Those 4 units essentially buy you an extra day. So what happens is the day that you were theoretically going to lose, cleaning up this place and scouting and stuff like that, you sort of gain back. So it ends up being that you continue. Okay. I'll get back to you on that, Matt.
Thanks.
I almost read that out loud. Sorry about that. Until I realized what that was. So it basically, you get the discovery of these supplies gets you back the lost day. So it's enough for 1 day and a little bit more, 4 units essentially of food and drink.
All right.
resources.
So
And
basically, Iomade provides for the cleanliness of this temple.
there's also another.
Actually, my caravan did.
Yep.
Yeah. You can bill me. I'll be happy to write you an invoice.
To Iomade and Resources Unlimited.
Yeah.
You also get another. There's also another 2 units of what would normally be considered trade goods. This is added to the 2 new units that you already have. Honestly, you're just lugging this kind of stuff around. It's not really worthwhile to you. You could leave it here if you want.
That's up. Well, actually, I think as a favor to Gatto, if he wants us to bring the trade goods, we will. But I don't think we need them otherwise. I mean, I guess there could be conceivably something deeper in the world wound that we could trade for food with, and we could bring the trade supplies for that.
I don't think we need to lug trade supplies around with this. We had wagons before, and we don't right now. At least I don't know where they are. I would ask that, Farina, did you ever mention that you found other people here? I think you know, Marcus heard you talking about people being hung or something like that. Those are probably the other guards that were with the caravan I was with. I would like to see them, put to rest.
I think that would be definitely on the priority list of cleaning up the temple.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Happy to. Well, you have multiple priests here, but I'm happy to preside over any burials.
Now, we've been in combat since I was
Brought in.
I'm going to say freed, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, and this is a question really for Farina. I mean, for Jennifer, did Farina release Gatto completely, or is he still like tied at the wrists?
Oh no, I released him.
Oh, she released it. I just don't know if I am being held prisoner without bonds or what right now, because I've been threatened several times.
You were a bad guy that got himself tied up so he could be in a position to put us at risk. I didn't know who you were, and I don't trust anybody, so don't take it personally, but I wasn't going to free you completely and then let you do devastation to people that I'm beginning to develop a bond with. So it's okay now. There's plenty of us watching you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We weren't properly introduced before. My name is actually Pat Ham. Some people call me the Cunning, but lately my nickname has been Gatto.
I'm sorry, did you say your name was Pat Ham?
Pat the Cunning Ham. So I've run out of uncles, but I have an aunt, Pat Cunningham.
Oh my God.
Funny.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah, nice to meet you, Ham.
Hello.
Gatto Ham.
But you can call me Gatto. It's a name that my friends have been calling me lately.
Okay. All right. So
So 3 years from now, though, if somebody comes and says, "Hey, we're looking for your friend Pat Ham," that's me.
What's your race? What's your race?
I'm a half elf. My mother was a full elf. My father was a human.
and neither smelt of elderberries.
Well, literally, Farina would say, "Please don't take offense. I was just protecting the safety of our party."
And the rest of us appreciate your.
Can't trust anything in this area. I was very concerned about the demon, but I see that the people you travel with. You have a drow with you, don't you?
At this stage, I
They are.
turn around and look behind me and say, "Where?" And I jump up.
You don't seem to be attacking him right now, so I guess he's with you guys.
Yeah, I think Lothar would probably come back behind you and say, "You look, the other guy's got all the Duergar." So it was like the last guy picked. We had to. So yeah, we settled We set
Well,
up
I
for
guess
it.
you guys killed the demon though, and that black dragon was flying around here. Is he gone now? Also, you kill him?
Hope not.
Oh, he's smaller now.
What?
It's
Really?
Muppet size.
He's
Yeah,
smaller
she's
now.
smaller, and she's been right next to you pretty much.
So Gato,
Maybe we
you
should-
recognize. I don't know how much dragon experience you have. Probably not a ton, but
Not a ton.
it wouldn't take long for you to figure out that this is not a dragon. At least by
I don't know if I don't know if I could figure that out because he looks reptilian, black with wings. That's
Yeah.
exactly what a black dragon sounds like to me.
Yeah,
The
kind of.
one
Okay,
thing-
maybe it is a dragon.
One thing odd you'll see is Illendar usually has like a headband on, but like after combat, if he's like, wiping the sweat off or whatever, if he takes that off, you'll notice there's a little sigil, I guess, in his forehead that matches the forehead of Storm.
So you can control the black dragon somehow.
So
No, if you
I'm
tell me
now-
he's not a black dragon, I'll believe you. But right now, he's a black dragon.
Relationship status complicated.
Now I can only visualize a sweatband on top of Illendar's head now, like
I know.
like a
Are you guys thinking like the
Bjorn
big
board.
McEnroe kind of?
yeah, McEnroe sweatband with matching
wrist.
blazers.
He does keep something on his forehead, and it's pretty much just to cover that up. And if you guys,
Sweatband.
I'm sure around the campfire, he's told you that he covers that up because other mages, that's a tale that
They would
that Storm
They would
belongs
know
to-
exactly what you're up to.
and they'll go after me instead of the tough guy because they know I'm the one that brought that into existence.
Right.
Okay.
The
I thought it
Global
was,
Gym
you were
logo.
just like ashamed of like a birthmark. He's a drow, white hair, dark skin, but he's got to cover this thing,
It's,
I don't want people to. I don't want the humans to see.
it's the Globo Gym logo from Dodgeball.
Exactly.
Actually, Gato probably freaked out whenever Storm came up and talked to him,
Yes.
and she would
Another
say,
thing dragons can do, I hear, is talk. So
yeah, she would say in a kind of female growly voice that, yeah, I'm not a dragon.
Not a dragon. Not a dragon. I'm just misunderstood.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things that Gato sort of reluctantly at that point pointed out was, as part of the caravan, there was 100 bottles of spring wine from the Riverlands that were on their way north to a buyer. Spring wine, like Chalaxian Red, is a well-known wine. It's one of the Riverlands exports. They export it everywhere. They have two kinds: spring wine and fall wine or autumn wine. Indicative. I mean, they're not. Those guys in the Riverlands are not sort of in the mood for evocative names and things like that. So it's just what says. It does what it says on the tin. The spring wine is harvested in the spring. Fall wine or autumn wine is harvested in the fall. Both are excellent. The climate in the Riverlands.
the autumn wines are typically late harvest. They're sweeter, almost like a dessert aperitif
Mhm.
or a dessert digestif. Actually, is what they call them.
Yep, the spring ones have been typically allowed to age over the winter, so they tend to be drier, a bit more subtle, more complex of flavors. Think a Claret versus a Beaujolais.
Yep.
But spring, 100 bottles of spring wine is quite a trove. That's it represents a pretty significant investment on somebody's part.
Right.
They're not getting it anymore. So there's you guys want to split them up amongst yourselves. It's 10 bottles apiece, and you guys can go clanking into Drazen. Or you can distribute it amongst the Crusaders as well as yourselves. There's more than enough. And potentially.
Illendar would distribute his among the army we're with.
Yeah, Illendar's share. I mean, you would be you remember the wines of the Underdark of Menzel Baranzan, the witch sommeliers of Menzel Baranzan itself, and you know that when it comes to wine, the Drow have forgotten more about wine than the surface people will ever know.
So, does wine
I'm
make a
keeping
bad?
one bottle for myself.
Does wine make a bad Molotov cocktail?
Yes, awful.
Yeah, wine does not, especially well. So on a scientific level, wine is the alcohol content is far too low to ignite. I
Right.
believe you have to have. Is it? You have to. I think it's 110 or 120 proof before you can even think about igniting it.
It'll burn at
Hold on.
70%, but not explode.
I guess you do not know. Don't have those stats handy.
Hold on, I've got.
Goodness.
Check,
Fun there
let's
was
go
a
into the
guy
chart.
who looked
Let's
something-
go into the liquor chart.
Flammable liquors. At what proof will spirits burn? Here we go. Any booze over 40 proof will ignite, though you won't get a nice sustained blue flame until you get over 80 proof. And even then, there's enough other liquids to douse the flame rather quickly. Use 151 for your flaming alcohol needs, although Wild Turkey 101 will work in a pinch. So probably best to have something over 100 proof for any sort of Molotov cocktail. The wine here, while delicious, clocks in at about 12 to 15% alcohol. That's
Wow.
what wines do.
Les's DM screen has some crazy specific tables on it.
No, I used Google. The
Dude.
Google had it momentarily. So so it will not ignite. But at the same time, those of you amongst the party who enjoy wine and appreciate fine wines, the thought of trying to use the spring wine as a new vintage of spring wine as a Molotov cocktail is offensive. It's uncivilized, and it won't work. But yeah, if you were to distribute these bottles, take a couple each for yourselves, and then distribute the rest to the army.
We get a +1 morale bonus to attacks, don't we?
You would get a +1 morale bonus. Yep, to army attack. No, that's exactly right. It's actually in my notes. +1 morale.
What? All right.
Yes, absolutely. Now, your army, the army of Canebras.
Wow. You haven't even been drinking yet, have you?
Wait, are you saying if we could double the wine here by diluting it, we get a +2 to?
No. Now, morale only knows the true proof. But yeah, no. If you were to distribute these wine, sort of the spoils among these are. You got to understand who makes up your crusading group. I mean, these are not Boy Scouts. They're paladins and rangers and fighters, all, but and devoted to Iomedae. But they are hard living, hard fighting kind of guys. They did not send a bunch of fancy pantses along with you. They sent guys who are the rough and ready types. Geyer is exemplary of them. He's, as you know, he's an elfin warrior, and although devoted to the fight, he's not shy about engaging in a little internal liver fisticuffs.
Not like the 7 of you guys, right? Unlike them.
Unlike us. No fancier pants exists than the 7 of us.
Have we earned Geyer's grudging respect yet after a few victories there?
Well, he's not actively trying to punch you every 2 seconds, so I guess there's that.
How does
No,
it
I mean,
step up?
so Geyer's. So as you know, I mean, Flashlight, you definitely. I don't know if everybody else knows, but Geyer volunteered for this job. So Geyer was the guy for those. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah, he was the one that was friends with the dude that hated us.
Yeah, he was friends with the dude that Hades and brought back, and he was killed. So that dwarven guy was killed in the diversionary thing, and he brought back this little like statue that belonged to him, and said he would have wanted you guys to have it to remember his sacrifice and remember that when you guys do something stupid, people pay with their lives, that kind of thing.
Drama
but then
queen.
drama queen, dead drama queen.
That's the best indie band name ever.
Dead drama queen.
Dead dwarf drama queen.
Dead dwarf drama queen. DDDQ.
Opening for Ghost Mullet.
For Ghost Mullet. But he volunteered to lead. So he was senior amongst that particular group. Now that particular group that he and the dwarf were part of. So you know that there's all these it's very much sort of Renaissance Italy when it comes to how these crusading groups come in. Now, some crusading groups come in from out of, they basically, you have the call goes out, right? It's like, and you have some guys in Mendev who say, all right, I'm joining the Mendevian army, and they become part of the crusade. But then you have guys in Andoran, 1,000 miles to the south, who hear about this, and they, one lesser noble or something says, we're going crusading to the world wound. All of those who would fight for Iomedae, join me. And he'll gather up 50 guys and sponsor them with however that works, and then they'll become. But they form their own company. There's a lot of that. So Geyer and the dwarven guy were in the same company. But during the diversionary tactic, when you guys destroyed the Wardstone, that company was more or less destroyed. So what would happen is these companies would get destroyed, and you'd have a group of 50 or guys who were reduced to maybe a dozen or even fewer, and they would be ported into different companies and remade into different crews and that kind of stuff. And so Geyer's company, the company that he was with in the Dwarf, was more or less destroyed during the diversionary in the south of the city. And so, seeing an opportunity, he volunteered as the leader of the Kenebran Crusaders to come with you guys. Now, you don't know his motives, and he didn't at the time strike you as being, massively enamored by your daring do. But he did volunteer to lead this company and has been a thoughtful and capable soldier and leader since then. And he's shown no indication that he wants to usurp command from. Nominally, he serves under the direct command of Flashheart, and he has shown no indication that he wants to usurp that command or in any way sort of undercut Flashheart's overall leadership or the party's overall leadership of the effort.
He's leaving that to you guys to do.
It was only a matter of time, really.
Yeah.
But yes, if you distribute the wine, you would get a +1 morale bonus. That's good for the next week.
Nice.
7
That's
days.
That's from the wine, not the healing potions, right?
That's from the wine. Yeah.
Nice. This temple's given and given.
So then, we are going to stay here for the night. Then we're going to sleep here for the night.
Yes. So Geyer and the scout teams would come up. Essentially, so first things first. Do you guys want to So I'm assuming you're searching the place. You found the thing. Do you want to search the rest of the place?
Probably a good idea.
Okay. Sadly, that weapon that Nulkaneth had, that aspergillium, that threw that black stuff around, went back to the abyss with him. However, as you guys sort of hunt around and clear out the rest of, sort of just investigate the entire rest of the temple, you do find a one room where you think it might have been his personal. It's in the northernmost portion of the thing. You think it might have been his personal room, and in that room, you discover there's a chest in there. Now, there's no bed or anything.
Where's this at?
In this room over here, to the north. Or as I like to have it, D8. Oh. It was the room immediately north of where you were being held captive. That was where Nulkaneth was basically.
This chest here?
No, that's just shit on the map. But it would have been something similar. Yeah, it's a chest.
But it's in that room.
Yeah.
If you people will allow, I can see if that chest is trapped or anything.
We would love for you to do that.
Skills, huh? Yeah.
Good with
That's a wonderful skill.
Good with traps.
Yeah. Look at the big brain on Bob.
You want to take a look at it? All right, absolutely.
So it's a perception to look for traps, right?
Yep.
That is a perception check to look for traps, and then a disabled device. Should you find a trap, a disabled device check to eliminate or otherwise disengage the trap so that it is rendered harmless.
Yeah, check something here.
Okay.
Hey, Les, are you going to steal the icons from this map to go to the next map?
Already done.
Okay,
You mean your dude icons, like of your stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Or
If you're going to use them again, you might want to make Fletcher and Storm normal size again. But if you're not going to, then if you've already done
I already did that. Oh, I should do that now because they are both normal size now. Actually, this spell has worked weirdly on Fletcher. It mingled with his elven bloodstream and has made him even larger.
Whoops.
He just keeps growing.
It's like Gulliver's Travels.
Nobody knows what to do. All right, 17.
18 for traps.
18 for traps. Did you just write a new thing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I just got I edited perception. It says +1 more for traps.
Okay. All right. So 18. Yeah. So you're examining the chest. It is not only locked, but you do think that there is looks like a classic poison dart trap. You fiddle with that lock, and something's going to come out and get you. You know, you don't know if it's actually poisoned or what, but knowing what you know about that demon Nekelnath, would put it past him certainly.
I suggest everyone stand clear while I try to disarm this trap.
Okay, good luck.
Understanding you may not trust me yet, I will not open it until you come into the room. But I would like you to leave while I disarm the trap.
Nobody seems to be moving, so.
Well, everybody's in the other room.
We're on the other room.
Yeah, I'm in the other room. It's
All right,
cool.
19.
Watch
You're
from the door.
pretty sure that you disabled the trap.
Woo.
I don't trust myself.
Thank
Get
you.
the spells ready. Well, if it's a poison trap, I can open it because I'm immune to poison.
I open it.
Okay. You open up the chest. The poison needle is sort of bent in the mechanism, and that's what kept it from shooting out at you. So you did manage to disable it, disable the trap. There is a variety of interesting things in that thing. You suspect that
Now everyone's in there.
this is Nulkin. Yeah, everybody's moving in now.
Presents?
So, looking around. So, there's a stack of coins, a fairly large one, a couple of small, a small bag, a dagger, a chainmail shirt, human-sized, and something that looks like a folded up flag of sorts. And underneath I'm sorry, go ahead.
I pull all of these out. I check the bottom. Is there a false bottom or anything?
Give me perception. Give me perception.
That is such a geeky thing to say.
Give me perception.
Give me perception.
Give me perception. You not for lack of looking, you do
Hold
not.
on, hold on a second, guys. Oh, no, they're fine.
Just I'll tell you guys. He does not find a false bottom. What's what you guys see is
that
what
they know of. I don't find any that they know
You didn't tell us anything about
well, they're all standing around you now.
of.
No, just Fletcher.
it.
All right, so lots of coins, a small bag, what looks to be a small golden scimitar about this long with a starburst of small gems around the hilt, a very carefully folded up flag, a chain shirt, size for a human, and a small weirdly curved dagger.
I'm going to cast Detect Magic and just look at the stuff that he's pulling out.
Okay.
As he pulls something out, I'll just be calling out, that's not magical, that is magical, you know.
Okay.
whatever.
Just sort of like, you know, like an X-ray machine.
Pretty much, yeah.
The flag is magical. The chain shirt is magical, and the dagger is magical.
Nice.
Everything else is mundane.
For the flag, is it Iomedaean?
It is not specifically Iomedaean. If you take a look at it,
Yeah.
it is not specifically Iomedaean. It is let me see. It's a narrow flag, and it's you would recognize it. It looks like it's made to attach to the end of a lance.
More of a banner or a herald.
Yeah. It's one of those lance flags. It's not very
Right.
big. It can be, although it could be flown from a spear or a pole arm, even a staff if you wanted to do that.
We don't know what it does yet, so interesting. Does anybody use it for a flag or pole arm?
It's red colored and designed with images of swords and axes. What'd you say again?
I said I was just musing. Does anybody use a flag or pole or a pole arm or spear that
Or
can go on
lance?
it? Or lance? I don't believe anybody's currently rocking that gear set.
No, you guys are not a cavalry unit. You guys are an infantry unit.
We're heavy foot.
Bardos is probably best to try to identify this stuff.
Probably.
I can take a stab at stuff that he doesn't get, but like I said, I think he's better at it than I am.
Okay.
You said it's a chain shirt?
The chain shirt, yeah, that radiates magic.
It's
And the
light armor.
dagger, the weirdly curved dagger, also. It almost, so the dagger is very interestingly shaped. It's almost, you guys know what a kukri knife is?
Yeah.
Threading for
It curves
Cutting-
inward, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like a
it's
fang.
sort of straight for a little bit, and then it has a very weird bend in it. So that's the shape of the dagger is very strange. It's shaped kind of like a kukri knife, but it's not a kukri. All right, so Bardos, tell me what items you are looking at when you have those numbers. The 31
Dagger
would be-
first.
Dagger first?
Dagger is that. Next chainmail, next folded flag.
Okay. These are sufficient enough to get all of them. So the dagger is a +1 returning dagger. It's shaped that way almost as it's, for those of you who are want to engage in a little bit of meta, it's shaped almost like a boomerang. A returning weapon essentially can be thrown. And hold on, I'm padding. What are you drinking, Don?
Whiskey.
Oh, okay. What
Out of
kind?
the glass that Doug and I got at Stumpy's Distillery in Columbia.
Oh yeah. How's the whiskey?
Good.
Is it Stumpy's whiskey or?
It's Stumpy's whiskey. I have to go back though actually and get their pecan pie one. They have a great pecan pie whiskey.
That's interesting. All right, so it's a +1 returning dagger. A returning weapon flies through the air back to the creature that threw it. It means it returns to the thrower just before the creature's next turn, and then therefore is ready to use again on that turn. Catching a returning weapon when it comes back is a free action. If the character can't catch it, or if the character has moved since throwing it, the weapon drops to the ground in the square from which it was thrown. So basically, it's a +1 returning throwing dagger that you can throw, and it comes back to you after the attack.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. The second one, the chain shirt, is a +1 chain shirt. Simple and direct there. The banner is what's called a knight's pennon. And let me just tell you about this. It's a narrow cloth flag made to attach to the end of a knight's lance. It grants different benefits depending on its color and design. This one, with the red coloring and the images of swords and axes on it, is a battle pennon. Allows the bearer to benefit from heroism once per day. Now, it has to be borne, which means it has to be mounted on some sort of sticked weapon.
Right.
Heroism imbues a single creature with great bravery, morale, and battle. The target gains a +2 morale bonus on attacks, saves, and skill checks.
What does Geyer rock with? Just out of curiosity.
Geyer's an axe man. He's an elfin. He is a battle axe guy.
Mount
So
a
that-
pole to the top of Fletcher's head and mount it on there. Like a hat with a pole and put it on the top of Fletcher's
One of those
head.
Nazi heads.
That's what I vote
He
for.
looked real good with that.
Yeah, if he's enlarged all the time, it would just be like a toothpick in his hand. So.
Well, then it has to have.
No, under the terms of the spell, clothing enlarges with you, so it would be like a giant, spike up the top of his head, probably the size of a man.
I can see it. Come on, Fletch.
Marina's seeing it. But yeah, no, it's called a knight's pennon. It is a battle pennon, and it allows the bearer to activate heroism once per day.
But it can't be sewn into clothing or modified.
No.
It can't. No, it says it's very specific. Hold on.
Now, if the
Though it's made to attach to the end of a knight's lance, though it can be flown from a spear, polearm, or even a staff. It has no effect if not mounted appropriately.
right now, if the paladin had a large spear, he could fly it onto it. He could shove it into the ground and then use his other weapons to fight with, but still benefit from the heroism.
Technically true, yeah. Does anybody? So here's the question: does anybody have a spear
I'm
or
fresh
any sort
out.
of polearm
How many paladins?
Not really, no.
or a staff?
Flash heart.
And also, Gatto's a paladin.
Nope.
Nope.
I have a
What was-
large curved elven blade.
What was Shane's bird rocking? Wasn't he rocking something weird like that? No, I know he's not coming back.
Maybe he's not with you guys anymore, though.
If nothing else, keep the flag and give it to the
Yeah.
Crusaders later, or just get a spear later.
Somebody just write
Well,
it down. put it
they're
in
not
party
cavalry,
booty.
so they don't have lances or anything like that. They're
they don't have a
Ioman
spear.
Crusaders, which means their
Somebody's gonna have a
weapons are
spear.
going to be longswords, but it's going to be whatever weapons they have. I don't know that anybody down there would have any
We
spears.
could turn this in for cashy money.
Yeah, do you want me to just put that on party booty and just hang on to it?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We can sell it and get some money from wherever we get back to civilization.
Yep.
Two. Les never gives +2. Are you kidding? What are you guys thinking? It's less.
What are you talking about? +2? I didn't give you guys any +2 thing. Oh, it's the heroism. Okay, yeah.
I mean, can't you cut down a tree?
I
And,
mean, it's once per day. It's,
Yeah, it's only once per
Have you
day.
done the chain shirt yet?
You did. It's +1 chain shirt.
lasts for a round. It only
Yeah.
lasts like one time.
I could
Yeah, by the-
upgrade to the chain shirt, and somebody wants +1 spiked leather.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, what are you outfitted with, Don? Anything? We have a bunch of stuff in supplies, probably.
Well, he spent the whole battle putting on clothes.
Getting
So.
dressed.
You do have some gear, or are you
Just see
gearless?
him in the back room like, these fucking folks are so fucking tight. God damn it.
Well, you have. Is it studded leather?
Yeah, studded leather +1. If someone wants to trade with me, I'll take the chain.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Fletcher
right.
gets the chain.
I will note that.
We got some bargaining here. Well, and this dagger, who wants to? It obviously doesn't work for me, and I came for this temple for a different reason. So I think
This
What's that?
party treasury. Do you have an easy way of carrying things?
In sacks.
yeah, we have the sack technology perfected.
Well,
back
because I
then.
have leather armor right now, but leather armor is fairly bulky.
We pretend we have a bag of holding. Don,
Yeah.
that's been working for us so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, put this leather armor +1 leather armor in there.
That would be Storm's sack.
Yes.
So the little saddlebags coming off. You know, I'm just imagining that she has like
Like,
this
this sucks.
breakaway thing. Like it's like she looks like she's loaded down like a freaking pack.
Like a pack animal
Mhm.
until
Yeah.
combat, and then she just
Until
drops
combat,
it.
then she's like reaches up, like claws this like breakaway thing. It's like a breakaway tuxedo. It's like off she goes.
One sack is designated just for long swords because we find those all the time.
And glaives, Baphometian glaives.
Yeah, we had a bunch of those at one point.
We had, like,
They're all masterwork. It was like you guys had like 20 masterwork glaives you were lugging around. I think you dumped them all on the Crusaders back at Defender's Heart.
Glaives and longswords.
Stole a bunch of glaives. There you go. I can't believe you guys don't have one glaive that you can tie this pennant to.
Yeah, well, only
You did
Don
that
was
on
here
purpose.
with Mub.
What about the dagger? Who's taking the dagger?
It sounds like a beefy weapon to me, or maybe one of the mages or priests.
If no one speaks up, Eldard offered to Gato. Would you?
I'll take it.
How do
Yeah,
you-
sounds like a thief weapon to me.
Yeah, it sounds like a thief weapon to me.
Hey, he's not a thief.
It's
He's
called
just good with traps.
I am a caravan guardsman.
All right.
It's like a-
Caravan guardsman that your friends call you
Thief.
Gato, huh?
that's
I meant
a first,
rogue.
that's a first edition bullshit right there.
Well, they call me the cat because I also often went out scouting ahead of.
Gotcha.
Okay, so someone give me a quick knowledge religion. Anybody who has it?
I'm not that kind of drow.
Bardos does.
Lothar, maybe?
Bardos, you have knowledge. Well,
Yeah.
He's a
Lothar will.
I have
Lothar
no
have-
idea.
He said he has no idea.
There
Oh,
you
look
go.
at that. Natty 20 on the knowledge religion. All right, so that gold
Lothar.
You need to be crit feeling the rest of the night.
is coming out of nowhere.
Oh, that was Bardos.
Lothar, that's a D8, buddy.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah, so you need to re-roll with D20.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be any better.
Oh,
What?
You do good on your skill checks.
Man, look at these things. 2 natty 20s. I'm
Save it for
gonna
combat.
screenshot that. Look at this. Brilliant. So you both immediately recognize the small golden scimitar with the small starburst of gems on the handle as a gold holy symbol of Sarenrae. And it is worth 200 gold pieces, at least, to the right buyer.
Damn.
Little bag holds 4 gems, a small green one, and 3 what look to be opals. They're multicolored opal gems, all cut very nicely in Kabachian cuts. Probably
Anybody got a appraise check and see how much these are worth?
Yeah, who's got the best appraise in the building?
Sounds like an ability a caravan guard.
Yeah, it's not a total caravan guy. The scout ahead would have.
Bardos does too. He'll.
Go ahead, Bardos.
Yes, is this the
22.
assess skill?
Gato, do you have appraise?
Nope.
He's not that kind of caravan guard.
I have a praise, a minor appraise.
Well, 22 is going to be sufficient, certainly. The green gem is a barrel and a exquisite sample of the genre, and it's worth 500 gold pieces. The 3 opals, which is what they are, you estimate it being around worth about 100 gold pieces each. And then there's a bunch of coins, some copper, silver, a lot of gold. Gato, you don't. So Gato, you're looking at this stuff. To your mind, none of this stuff came from your caravan.
Okay.
Maybe some of the coinage, but no, you don't recognize any of this stuff.
Do demons take coins? Because
Sure, everybody takes coins.
Maybe we can use this up the road.
Well, so when you look at the coins, you recognize that as coinage from a variety of different countries and that kind of stuff. You don't recognize any of these. I mean, it all looks to be non-demonic coinage. I don't know if you might not be sure if demons use coins in their everyday transactions. They probably do. But do they mint? Who knows? But these are, you're seeing coins made in a variety of countries, easily 8 to 10 different countries, which leads you to believe that this has been growing for some time, this little stash of coinage.
We get an estimate of what we're looking at.
Worth? I'm not putting each individual gem. I'm just putting the total value of all this.
Okay. 3,827 gold pieces. It takes you a while to count it.
Damn, son.
Another 710 silver pieces and 383 copper pieces, which will likely remain here after you guys leave.
We can use it to tithe the church here with, starting with something.
Yeah, that's going to be the church, the rectory offering is going to be the 383 copper pieces. Here you go.
Hey, everyone, I just, that studded leather, I'm not going to use. I'm going to keep my leather.
Okay.
You want it, Farina?
Studded leather.
Yeah.
Studded leather.
+1.
+1 studded leather.
+1. Hang on, I'll look into it.
Well, I'm going to put it in the party
Same
duty
armor
and tell you
class.
when you're taking it.
Yeah.
Studded
Same armor class as the chain shirt, but with no dex penalty.
You got chain now. She's got.
Yeah.
Well, she's
It
got.
would be the same armor class as the chain shirt, but no dex penalty.
Oh, am I getting a dex penalty on the chain?
And any
I think
dex
it's
skill.
-1. Yeah, I think it's -1 dex penalty.
No, but if it's magical, it gets +1, so it cancels.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Chain shirt is a -2 dex or armor check penalty.
-2 armor check, yeah. Which is what you're
That's what I'm
probably
referring to.
position based on.
I guess I'll switch to the studded leather then. Thank you.
Okay, so what did you have before? Just regular leather?
Oh, chain shirt.
I think she said yes.
She had chain shirt.
I had chain shirt.
Okay. So we've got 2 chain shirts.
Well, one of them is on Fletcher.
I have the magical one.
Oh, you have a mundane, mundane
Now we've
chain shirt?
got, now we've got 2 regular chain shirts in our party booty.
Well, stuff like that, if you have mundane weapons or things like that, probably the easiest way to get rid of them is just distribute them to your guys. The army. It's, every little bit helps. You never know with these guys, although they're probably pretty well armed and armored.
Yeah, if this is like a melee group, then yeah. They're probably not going to be in much light armor. This is all light armor. I don't think they're.
Yeah, technically they're heavy foot, as Matt pointed out. So.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be light armor.
Mm-mm. No, they're both.
They're going to laugh at our chain shirts and our leather armor.
Where's the buttons?
If they have
Heavy
any
armored hard
scouts, the
drinkers.
scouts might want it.
That's a fancy pair of pajamas you got on there. Doesn't come in adult size. All right, so that is essentially between the caravan goods and Nulkanat's sort of treasure chest. That's essentially the everything that you find of value in the complex. So now we get to the point of view of what. So we've talked a fair amount about how to cleanse the temple and that kind of stuff. What are you guys going to do?
Unless we are spending the night here, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's evening. I would say, yeah. You don't have any intel on. So the scout. So, all right. Before we do the cleanse, let's talk about the cleanse. We're gonna get some coffee. We're gonna get it'll be good. Let's talk about Geyer and in 2 of his scout teams, the 2 scout teams. I mean, there's only 2, 3-man scout teams come up the thing, and while you guys are sort of like finding a spot and
then we say, here, take all this alcohol back down to your guys.
Yeah.
Well, certainly Geyer's like, but they want to talk about, essentially Geyer and the scouts want to talk about what do we do next? What do we want to do? Now, for those of you, Matt, who didn't read all the emails that were going back and forth,
I think we should get out of here.
a variety of questions came out. So the first email was from Dan. He said, can the scouting party head out while we were either cleaning or sleeping in the night? And can there be 2? Basically, the answer is yes. The scouts prefer to travel at night, but they prefer to observe in the daytime. So each scout team, which operates in groups of 3, has a soldier spyglass, which can provide clear vision for observing out to about 3 miles in open terrain. Terrain is not necessarily open. They think they're going to have to get closer, but what they would prefer to do is travel during the night, get into position, a covered, concealed position, observe during the daylight hours, and then come back at the night to deliver the intelligence. Theoretically, these guys would leave tonight. They would observe all day tomorrow. So today is September 11th in Golarian, Rova 11 in the Golarian calendar. If they leave tonight, they can get in position. They figure it's going to probably if you split them up and you have one team take the plateau and one team take the valley. The valley guys, since the terrain is a little bit more difficult, are probably going to take 5 hours to get into position. The plateau guys probably 4. They would get into a concealed position. They would observe Dresden all day and then come back tomorrow evening, September 12th, in the dark. And come back and bring all that intelligence. So it would be a day's worth of intelligence, which, these are professional scouts. It seems like they would know a lot. They would probably arrive back at the temple in the early hours of September 13th, sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, being stealthy, and they would be able to deliver that. Theoretically, therefore, you guys could rest. When the scouts returned the following late the following evening, you would convene the council, you guys, Geyer, the scout teams, to deliver their intelligence, and the various platoon tactical leaders would get together and talk about, okay, how do we best approach Dresden?
How do we best maximize our mass combat rolls?
Huh?
Okay. We're talking around how to best maximize our mass combat rolls.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I was metaing there.
So you would do that, and then theoretically you would begin moving the guys out, the army out at dawn on the morning of the 13th after you guys have had the council of the scouts and whatnot.
So that just wastes one of our days for scouting, right?
It would just be one. Yeah, you would waste a day scouting. You would have done the cleanse by then. Everything would be in order. But the resources that you would have used are made up by the resources that you've acquired here. So you acquired about a day's worth of resources here, food and water. This day the day that you would lose, which we calculated before, would allow you 4 days of on-site time. So the resource plan was basically it takes you a day. It takes you half a day to get over there to Dresden. You would waste a day essentially cleansing the temple, so that would leave you with 4 days at site to conduct operations and try and retrieve the Sword of Valor, the banner inside the thing. Because then you would have 5 days to get back to Kenebris. This moves that back up to 5 days on site and 5 days back to Kenebris. You essentially have 10 days worth of resources as it stands right now.
Okay.
But it's good. But as you know, it's going to take you another 5 days moving at full speed down the path that you took to get back to Kenebris in time.
Right.
Assuming we have an intact army.
Assuming you have an intact army, you're not being harried constantly by teleporting demons. So 5 days is the best case scenario. But so every day that you save in the siege of Dresden is a day that's going to help you on the back end. Because what happens from a game's perspective, what happens when you start running out of resources is you start losing bonuses. Morale goes down. You begin losing powers. So your army begins losing powers.
Okay, so one day, I think it sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Now-
I agree.
Since resources are very important in this game, I'm willing to go back to civilization, form a caravan, and bring new supplies.
Well,
And
you
then
guys,
Don was never heard from again.
Good thinking.
you guys have eliminated the problematic supply guy. I mean, this is the guy who was raiding the supply caravans in this region, so he's gone.
Okay, maybe
so
that'll do it too.
Yeah.
you could probably get a supply caravan up here. I mean, you probably would run out. I mean, it's not a bad plan, Gatto.
We're going to axe it, though.
Yeah. I don't think even heading back on the waste by yourself is a good idea at the moment.
All right, so
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what you guys are going to do. You're going to have Geyer send one
Out.
scout team through the valley towards Dresden, another on the plateau. Both observe each excluded of the other. Come back, compare notes, and you guys decide what to do as far as moving the armies into position. Okay.
Sounds good.
Geyer, for his point, and I've made this point on a couple of occasions, Geyer, for his point, thinks that guerrilla warfare is the way to go. A stand-up fight against these guys. He's like, look, we know that they've sent a lot of troops south. We know that they do not consider Dresden to be threatened in any way. Nobody's attacked Dresden for well over a decade. So they're not expecting an attack, and they've sent most of their troops here. But that said, you guys only have 50 guys. This is a major citadel, a major fortress.
Didn't we have
And
100 guys? Am I miscounting? I thought we had 100 guys.
I think it's 50.
No, we had more than 50.
I thought we had more than that.
I'm pretty sure
Let
we
me
had
check. I'll check.
Shenanigans.
I think it's 50
Satan
guys.
switching our.
Who lost the other half of our army? Whose day was it to keep track of them?
Flashheart was in charge.
Goes.
All right. It is a medium army, so let me check the rules.
We broke them into like 3 elements before, so I'm pretty sure it's more than 50 guys. I know we broke a bunch into archers and the rest of the foot.
Oh, well, yeah, you, I don't think so.
Hey, guys.
Oh, okay. Medium army's 100, so I was wrong. It's 100 guys.
Thought so. Okay.
That sounds right.
All right, so I guess it's much better. But even so, 100 guys is, I mean, it's moot from this point of view in the fact that Geyer believes that there's easily more than 100 defenders of the Citadel Dresden.
Right.
And he is firmly of the belief that guerrilla attacks and sort of attack and retreat, draw them out. Basically, he outlines that his primary attack structure, as he sees it for Citadel Drazen, is to find particular pieces of their defensive stuff, attack, allow them to create the illusion of victory, so they begin and retreat. Let them give chase,
And let them and pull them out.
and then pinch a movement and then wipe them out that way. He thinks that's at least the best way to go for the first couple of attacks. But again, you guys have no idea what's there.
Yeah, but just out of curiosity, I swear we brought somebody with us who was a siege engine expert, that they were going to try to create siege equipment once we got to site,
I haven't been drinking that much.
right?
No, I'm pretty sure I would recall a siege engine expert being on this whole thing. You guys are expert flankers.
No, I swear you asked us to bring somebody that was a siege engine specific guy. But
Or
I know it's
siege,
been
siege
like
expert.
more than a month of real time since we.
Well, I know the whole point of this isn't to really take the Citadel. They're just a diversion. So I don't think they would have. I don't think we're really planning on succeeding in this attack. They're just drawing their attention while we go around and get in and steal
Right.
the banner and get back out. So
Yeah,
But,
I'm looking
yeah,
at
that's what I say. We're doing the classic fantasy thing where we send a small group, a fellowship, as it were.
Fellowship
a
is-
fellowship of unwilling participants, if you will.
To
Hey, Gato fits right into that. You're unwilling, so
get in there, yeah. Yes, welcome to the unwilling.
Now, the Knights of Kenebris have improved armor, improved weapons, and ranged weapons. They have special aura of courage, channel positive energy, divine health, lay on hands, smite evil, and spellcasting. Speed of 3, morale of +1, consumption of 3. But beyond that, there's nothing here about siege engines. and honestly, this is not a siege engine kind of fight. Like
No, I don't know why I remember yet. So I knew we had more than 50 guys. So I'll take
What you might be
compromise.
remembering, Matt, is Les said that the guy that's filling in as the head of the group was like an expert in tactics and something, and that's why he.
That could be.
Guy, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is, as far, I mean, he gives off, I mean, you guys have spoken with Geyer on multiple occasions. You've been on the road for him for near a week now. You've gotten to know him. He gives off every indication that he is a consummate soldier. He's good at tactics. He's good at strategy. The men respect him. He is one of those firm but fair kind of leaders. You can see that these guys are really beginning to sort of see him as their natural leader. It's not a slam against Flashheart. Flashheart represents, he's a paladin of Iomade. He represents sort of the best and brightest that are in the service of the Queen of Scimitars. But
I think if this guy's that veteran, then yeah,
he's a veteran crusader.
I don't think it's us calling the shots and then him just agreeing or disagreeing. I think it's more him saying, this is the best thing, and the rest of us noobs are like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that.
He's definitely not giving you, but at the same time, he's not giving you any. I mean, he certainly defers to judgment, right? He understands chain of command and he follows it. He's never given you any indication. I mentioned earlier, he's never given you any indication that he's trying to sandbag you guys or that he's making decisions without guidance or making decisions that are not in.
I'm just saying. I think this party as a whole is a pretty. Not proud party, and realizing we just kind of got thrown into this and we were noobs before this. So I think it's more of us realizing if we've got this experienced resource, we're definitely gonna rely heavily on him.
He's a pro.
So what you're saying, Mike, is that in Vietnam, a smart lieutenant listened to the sergeant that was there.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Yes.
Doesn't get fragged by his own troops. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, if he says gorilla, I mean, Illandar. He's not going to be a big part of this conversation, but he's going to realize that, okay, my strengths don't lie in warfare and tactics like that. So if this guy's been doing this since he was,
for a while, he's been a resident of
I'm by no
Kenebris.
means going to say, oh, I think I've got a better idea.
No, I think this is a fair plan. I don't hear any dissension on the plan, so let's execute to that, and then party can do what party does when we get there.
Okay.
And then I'm going to grab a mop and start cleaning.
You don't have to.
Oh, I forgot.
Apparently, Barnos is going to come
Barnos
in. And, we're gonna, what do we call it in the email? The Mickey maneuver.
Yeah, the Sorcerer's
The
Apprentice.
Fantasian, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing before we go to bed, Ilindar is going to come up to Gato, and in full earshot of Farina, he's going to put his hand on his shoulder, and he's going to say, "Good night, Gato. Good work. Sleep well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning."
At which point, Gato throws that returning knife at him.
I turn a little pale. No, I don't throw anything at the drow with the dragon.
Well, compared to a drow, compared to drows, there isn't a half elf on Galeria that doesn't look a little pale most of the time. So
Maybe it'd be a better story that we just say that we've dominated person or charmed person on Ilindar, and that's why he's hanging out with us.
So Les, have the scouts gone out yet?
they, yeah. So once you guys work with Geyer and the scouts and be like, this is a good plan. Yeah. So one team goes on the plateau and.
So I missed my opportunity to go with them. Okay.
Do you want to go with him? I mean, you don't necessarily have missed it. Do you want to go with them?
Yeah.
Farina, do you want to go too?
Who do you want to go with? The plateau
No.
team or the valley team?
None.
Plateau. The higher ground.
All right. They Geyer advises you that we're going to assume that your skills are sufficient enough to work with my guys. Keep your head down. Don't do anything stupid, and try not to slip on rocks and make the noise like everybody does.
Okay.
Don't pull a Sam Gangi at the Black Gates.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So
It's Gamgee, sir.
Gamgee.
Gamgee.
I beg to differ.
All right, we can get to
Sam.
the nerd war later.
Sam, yeah.
Oh,
Basically,
Sam.
he knocks the rocks up, and they have to throw that little blanket over themselves. Hide
The elven cloak.
That was a badass piece of equipment thing.
That was. I mean, they threw it over them. You couldn't see shit. I couldn't see them. But all right, so
Almost like it was computer generated.
look. Sometimes you just have to let art wash over you, and just appreciate it for what it is, and not think too hard about it. Right?
Yep.
That's how I feel. All right, so Gato goes with the plateau team, and they move out into the night, moving silently across the ashen wastes. The valley team goes back down the thing and heads out along the Selin River Valley, which they are finding is quickly drying up. There's not a lot of water coming down the Selin River, and it grows increasingly thin as they move forward. But they're off. So the next morning arrives, and Lothar, you are prepared. The spell, you get your spells back. You feel the power of Erastil filling you, as if that your deity knows that something good is going to happen today.
And then we disappoint him.
And then, no. Flashheart, you wake up with the dawn, and you can feel the propitiousness in the air, as this is a day that is fraught and filled with promise, and you know that today will be the culmination of the last 24 to 36 hours worth of activities in the name of Iomade, and you are pleased as punch.
I'm excited about this.
Very
I will assist any way I can to pray it up or get to cleaning or whatever I need to do to bring back the presence of Iomade.
Excellent. All right. So I'm assuming that you guys go in the temple.
I'm sure she asked me not to call it pray it up for her.
Throw out clear out the bodies of the ghouls and whatnot from the building. And whatever this guy is, just throw him out in the thing there.
Dismantle that atomic bomb that was on the door.
Yeah. Clear that. Oh yeah, that's long gone, by the way. It wasn't an atomic bomb, by the way, but could have been ugly nonetheless. Well, actually, let's just put that back. No, I'm kidding. All right. You begin. I'm assuming, Lothar, you begin by creating water, blessing it, and creating and making it into holy water, and begin the ritual It takes a while. How long does consecrate take? I think it's like an hour.
Well, I was going to ask you about what you were doing about this because looking at the spell description, consecrate wouldn't do anything.
It counters and dispels desecrate, so it would.
I didn't see that.
It's actually in the bottom of the spell description, the last line. Consecrate counters and dispels desecrate.
Oh, okay, there it is. So,
so 2 hours duration.
2 hours per level is the duration.
Casting time is a standard action. All right, so there's a lot of prep that goes into this. But once you have everything, you cast out Erastil, please bless this place, kind of thing, and you can feel the power of Erastil comes through. And Flashheart, you feel it as well, to the point where you're sort of like, you feel the power of Iomedae in you, and you pull out Radiance, and you hold it to the sky, and you scream out as he's casting his spell.
By the power of Great Gold!
Bless me in your great crusade, that kind of thing. And you can feel Iomedaean power course through you and into the sword. You see him start to glow. This sort of weird silvery glow begins to emanate off him, and a golden or an amber glow begins to come off of his sword that he's holding up. You're a little freaked out. Erastil, doesn't have a lot of sword play in their, church services. You're a little bit like, well, this Iomedaean kind of stuff's a little weird, but ultimately the spell goes off. The area is cleansed. The desecrate is removed. And Flashheart, you feel that power that course through you and into the sword. It's almost with an audible snap. It is concentrated into the sword, and that sword adds +1 to its magical abilities.
Woohoo!
Now it's +2.
Is it now +2 or +3?
It's plus. Well, it could be +3 if you like. It's +3.
Yeah, +2 is fine.
Yeah. If Iomedae's feeling extra generous today, then
Yes.
+12. Yeah, let's go for it.
Come on, I gave you spring wine, +1 on your weapon. Come on.
Gold everywhere.
Yep.
Throwing
All right,
knives
so
come back to you. Boomerang.
That is complete, and the temple is so. Right now, the bulk of the army is down in the valley. You guys are up on the top in the temple. Various people are coming up. In fact, there's some bucket brigading of the spring wine. I'm assuming you're sharing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so there's guys coming up and down those stairs. They've actually rigged up a sort of rope railing with some additional stuff. Don't lean any further back on.
Actually, is Illandar needed for anything?
No, not really. Is there something you want to do?
He would actually be putting the wine on Storm and be walking it down to the men and kind of passing it out.
So they've set up a rope kind of railing, for lack of a better term, that they're using to move men and material up and down. Geyer hasn't informed them whether or not they want to move out on the plateau. So that was some of the other questions that came up, was like, should we move on the plateau? Should we move in the valley? And frankly, I don't think you'll know until you get the intelligence back from the scouts. But that said, you have a whole day. Excuse me. So the consecrate is done by mid-morning. You guys are cleaning and things like that, and I'm assuming you're still going to give the healing potions to the Crusaders, or are you going to keep them?
The Crusaders. I mean, it's going to potentially keep them alive longer. And Bardos, you've been our resident healer, right? Like, how do we have time to make some more potions with existing supplies, or?
Lothar is a healer, actually. I don't do healing.
Apologies, Lothar.
And I can't make potions, so it's
I
just.
can make potions, but I do like one just emergency, nothing to rely on.
Well, when you open them up, you find that there are literally dozens of Cure Light wound potions in there. It's probably close to 60. which gives them the healing potion resource on their.
Yeah, I would give them to the army. We'll make do.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, if it gives them a resource that they can draw on during battle, then
Yep, it does. Yeah, it does. All right, cool. So obviously, everyone is really pleased. So, anything else that anybody's doing during the course of the day? Various people are coming up, and yeah, I mean, you throw in the bodies of the ghouls out, cleaning everything up, policing up mostly the rooms. Obviously, Flashheart's focusing on the temple, moving the chairs back, cleaning up the altar, that kind of stuff, just sort of putting things to rights. Is anybody else doing anything during the course of the day?
Yes, I'm scouting.
I'll
Thanks,
be walking the perimeter and then helping to clean here and there.
Okay.
The perimeter of the temple with Otto.
All right. What about you, Bartos?
If I have extra time, I'll probably try to sort through my scrolls and maybe make one or two more.
You're going to have a difficult time making scrolls here. There's just no real area where you can work. Scroll making, you have to have all your equipment, but you also have to have, sort of peace and quiet and that kind of stuff. And there's just not really any place here. I don't know that you can make any. You can certainly inventory what you have.
He causes deafness upon himself, so he's not distracted.
I'll just hang out then, relax.
All right, Lothar. What about you? You've cleansed this temple of Iomedae, and you feel good about that. Anything else you're doing during the course of this day? Chuck?
Sorry, what?
Are you you've cleansed this temple with the help of Flashheart, although it was minimal help. But and so you've acquired what you wanted to acquire. But you have a whole day and most of the night before.
the Hounds of the Baskervilles are upon us.
So just a little plot twist. Lothar is a werewolf.
Yeah. Marcus's dog is here.
I'll help clean up where cleanup is necessary, or help the guys that are shuttling things up and down. Just make myself useful.
Okay.
The other obvious thing is if there's anybody that in the party that's still hurt, let me know. I can't see Bartos's health bar.
I can't even see my character. I don't even know where I am.
Oh, you're not on the.
You weren't. That's because you're not there.
Yeah, because you're not there. Hold on, I'll bring you back.
So anyway, if anybody's injured, I'll address that. Otherwise, I'll just help with the cleanup and whatever else is going on.
Fletcher and Gatto were the only ones hurt, I think.
Can we spend the time leveling up, Les?
Leveling up. Yeah, well, I don't know if we're quite there yet, but to give you credit, I will do the XP counts over this week. So as we approach Dresden, if there's levels to be had, they will be had. All right, Fletcher, Dan, what are you? Is Fletcher doing anything interesting during the course of the day?
Like I said, I was going to say I'm going to level up, but
Going to level up. That's cute.
any day without some fighting kind of depresses Fletcher, so he's going to practice.
Is that your dog, Dan?
Nope, ain't got one.
Whose dog is that?
It's Mindy.
That's me.
Mindy.
Is that Dale?
No.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
The characters.
You want Dale to bark?
No. I've been barked at by Dale. All right, so Dan, you're just going to chill, or?
No, yeah, just chill and practice swordplay.
All right, Matt. What about you? What about Flashheart?
I will
exultant in your new cleansed temple. This is a big deal for you, man. This is your first major religious achievement.
Oh yeah, and he was a paladin on the edge for a while, so this is a big deal for him. So I'll spend my time in gratitude and prayer for Iomedae, but then I'm going to assist any other Lothar, Bartos, Ilindar, anybody, just with my gratitude, anything I can do for them. I'm happy to do so.
Okay, awesome.
Whatever. I'm doing less soldierly things today and more piousy things as needed. Charitable
Gotcha.
piousy things.
Farina, what about? You already said that you were just going to walk perimeters and that kind of stuff. Am I missing somebody? Oh, Illendar, what are you doing?
Eldar's going to be trying to just, like I said, you really want to be part of passing out the alcohol, just trying to help people out,
Okay.
build morale, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and frankly, people are a bit
plus-
standoffish about a
since I'm-
drought.
Since I'm the least, trusted, he's going to kind of go above and beyond to just try and
To be
chat
a-
with people, those who will chat with him, and
What's the old phrase? Beware a drow bearing wine.
Yeah, now they just think the wine is poisoned.
Here, drink this.
I'm visualizing
I'll
a
wait.
cocktail.
I'm going to laugh maniacally whenever I say that too.
Why don't you drink this wine and then go to sleep?
And then go to sleep.
Just drink it. You will go to sleep.
I'm visualizing a drow cocktail scene, where you're like throwing shakers up in the air and people are cheering for you.
There you go.
All right. So the day passes. You guys get the place cleaned up. It actually, wasn't as destroyed as it seems like. I mean, between Bardos's Sorcerer's Apprentice action and various people just sort of helping out, moving things around, you guys actually feel like you could get this into something that would be moderately defensible pretty quickly. In fact, once it's cleaned out and aired out and you've gotten rid of the bodies, it's actually quite pleasant. It's a nice little compound and that kind of thing.
You get rid of bodies.
Once you get rid of the bodies, I mean, you got a bunch of dead ghouls.
We have to do that a lot.
We did say we would bury Don's friends in respectful,
Thank you.
culturally.
Yep, takes
appropriate
a couple
manner.
of hours, but you do get them buried properly with the appropriate seals and whatnot.
One question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
apologize. This brings to mind, like, we're going to basically leave this empty behind us. I'm going to talk to Geyer about, can we spare somebody to maybe hold the
How many guys are you
stairs?
talking about?
Well, that's why I was asking him what was a bare minimum we could spare, like 4 or 5 guys.
Maybe 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, to hold this, because it seems a shame to clean it out and get it ready to roll and let it fall back in the hands of demons.
It's possible. He doesn't recommend more than 4 or 5 guys, although he has some guys in mind that might be perfect for the job.
Maybe
The
some
thing
walking
is,
wounded kind of.
Yeah, when from a meta standpoint, when you remove people from the army, basically it's like removing hit points.
Sure, I get that. Do we have any like camp follower, hanger on types that can, we can park here if needed?
Not really. This is not a camp follower kind of situation. You guys are deep into enemy territory, working surreptitiously. This is you don't have. They don't have servants.
Okay.
So he's like, I could spare 5, but and we'll make do. But I wouldn't go. He's like, I wouldn't. Lord Flashheart, I wouldn't recommend going any more than that.
I'll consult with the rest of the party, but I think that's a good idea. Just minimal
To
supplies.
leave some dudes.
Leave some dudes.
All right. What do you guys think?
Well, like I said in the email, I'm not so sure this is a place that we should hole up and maybe try to draw some people out to us. I think
Yeah,
it
once
might
the
be-
scouts come back, maybe
It's
that's
a defensible spot. Yep.
Well, you at least have somebody to fall back to now.
Depending on what the scouts say, yeah. I mean, I don't know that we're going to gain anything by having this 100 people army go up to this fortress or this city, whatever it is. I mean, they're not going to be able to do anything except die, basically. I don't think. But if we can distract some of these devils or demons to come here, that might lessen what we have to deal with when we get there, possibly.
I don't know how we
We
sell
can
that to
figure
the
out-
demons, but
It's not a bad idea.
not a bad idea.
I like the idea.
The late afternoon and evening passes, and you guys join the army down in the valley as they begin their cook fires. They begin, roasting various kinds of meats and things, dried meats and things that they've got. And with the spring wine, it is actually caused quite a, as you walk through the troops and their tents and down in the thing, you see more than a few smiles. Everybody seems to think they've been reaffirming the idea that they're on a grand crusade and they're doing doing the deity's work. They're starting to think that maybe we can't lose here. This is, they've had victory after victory, cleansed the temple, and now we're on the stair step of Dresden, and everything seems to be going excellently. And there's, they talk about friends that they lost in the battle at Vala's Gift and things like that, but others,
they lost nobody.
They've gotten, they lost. Yeah, there's always one or two that get tanked, but there were others that came in and reinforced the.
We replaced them, yeah.
Okay. Replacements. So there's just a general sense of confidence and optimism that seems to have permeated everything. Geyer is his usual taciturn self, but even you guys notice that maybe even he, after a half a bottle of spring wine or closer to a bottle of spring wine, he seems to even be a little bit more cheerful, and you might see the flash of an occasional Ulfin smile in the background as he walks and inspects his troops. Later that night, the scouts return with their news. They have, and this is maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, so you guys have gotten a few hours rest after sunset, and then
Gotta make it back.
Left orders to be awakened. I'm assuming you guys are in the encampment and not in the temple. Is that true, or do you guys want to stay in the temple?
Probably in our encampment. We'll put people in the temple to hold it as we talked about, but otherwise, I think at least I'd be with the troops now. We're expecting the scouts.
Okay, that's what I assume. You guys go back down to the encampment and you go back to your original sort of, on the road kind of thing. So, but you are awakened by Crusaders who's like, yeah, the scouts are back, that kind of thing, and there's a little small pavilion set up.
Gatto is with them.
Gatto is with them, yes. And at first, the first group that comes back is the Plateau group. And they come back, and you look at Gatto's face, and he seems a bit nervous. Not nervous, but a bit maybe shocked by what he's seen.
We're fucked.
Well, we haven't got so far there, but
oh no, I would.
So the first thing the Plateau guys want to talk about is the fact that there is a guardian on the plateau between the east. So it's a good news, bad news kind of situation. The good news is that there are not what looks to be regular troop patrols on the eastern plateau as you approach Dresden. I mean, when you get close, there are various kinds of patrols, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But their long range patrols are essentially one thing. At which point Gatto sort of puts in his hand in his head, or his head in his hands, and he says, "They've got a Vrak." They've got a Vrak. And so Gatto, you want to tell them what you know about Vraks?
They're dragon kin. They don't necessarily breathe fire, but they're huge. They like to pick people up and drop them from great heights. They're very deadly. They should be avoided.
So
that's their aerial research. They're not necessarily intelligent. Better. I think slightly better than animal intelligence, isn't it?
They are actually. Well, no, they're quite intelligent. Intelligence 14, so they are not, and wisdom 16. So they are not pushovers. They're quite intelligent.
They are not to be taken lightly at all.
But they are not to be taken lightly. So there's a couple of things that he would tell you about. So one, they've got a Vrak, and so what Gatto tells you guys, and the other scouts, is about 5 to 8 miles down the plateau, about a little more than halfway to the city. They spotted the Vrak, and it was making lazy circles over the plateau and over the valley as well. So you got the impression that this was their sort of distant early warning system, where basically this one creature was sort of flying back and forth both over the plateau and over the valley. they're good flyers. So was that thing? So you suspect that this one creature has been detailed. What Gatto can tell you is that as Vrox go, this is a big one. But they also have a variety. They have a couple of powers. One is everybody knows about is the screech of the Varrock.
Screech, yeah.
Of the Vrock can really sort of hurt you. It will essentially it will stun you if it gets close and screeches and you as the kids say back in Andoran, if you miss your will save or fortitude save in this case, then the Vrox, I can't even say it. The Vrox screech can stun you. But even more deadly is the clouds of spores that Vrox. Vrox are creatures of the abyss, and therefore, although Gatto said that they are dragonkin, they are also demonic, and they can release spores that grow into vines, and if you breathe them in, the vines come from within you. If the spores land around you, the vines come up and they follow the spores. The vines that grow from the spores will follow the Vrock's commands to destroy you. Plus, they are prodigious fighters. They are telepaths of note. Telepaths, yeah, which means they can detect your thoughts and use that to anticipate your moves in combat. They are excellent flyers and prefer to attack by flying by and attacking that way. They have spells, the worst of which is twofold. They are great teleporters. And they also have the power to open gates and summon members of their kind.
My next character is going to be one of these things.
They are not to be taken lightly. And there's one, and basically it's the forward observer for the city from the eastern border. And
out of curiosity,
it's going over both the valley and the plateau.
Yeah. Not supposed to open a bribery, are they? Because we have plenty of gold hanging around.
Generally not, I would think, but who knows? Maybe you could wave a flag of parlay and see what they'll do. The other thing,
Xano could have pulled that off.
The other thing that the plateau team noticed is that this particular Vrock surprisingly stays remarkably close to a certain region, and so they crept forward to kind of check this out. On top of the plateau, there are some rifts. Basically, Gatto, you suspect that these rifts in the stone of the plateau are either damage to the plateau due to its proximity in the world wound, or actual rifts between the prime material plane and the abyssal plane, although that seems remote this far away. But whatever it is, there is damage to the plateau in certain areas, and there's one particular area where this Vrock seems to stay very close.
Now, wait. Is it damage to the plateau or the valley?
The plateau. You went with the plateau guys.
Yeah. So the damage is up here?
It's on the plateau, yeah.
Okay.
You're not sure. It's basically a pretty substantive, as far as you can tell, and you couldn't get very close, but it's a pretty substantive crack in the stone of the plateau.
Yep.
It's about maybe a quarter to a third of a mile back from the valley. So it's not extension cracks from the valley itself. It's something new. But this rock doesn't stray very far from there.
From it.
Maybe gets a mile or two east-west, at the cardinal directions, but when this rock is doing his various passes and stuff, he always comes back over that thing. So if you could imagine sort of this place in the plateau, and the Vrock is sort of like doing banks and going back and forth, but he always kind of overflies this area.
Back to this area.
Yeah, when he's going through his various patrolling mechanisms. On a couple of occasions that you witnessed, the Vrock would actually sort of land right next to this thing and sort of walk around a little bit and then take back off and resume its patrols. So you're not sure why this particular area is important to the Vrock, but it is. But from your point of view, Gatto, and you agree with the rest of the scouts, from a point of view of if you were going to take this guy out, this is a place that you know he returns to continually. If you were to go to that area, it might be a way to foam. It might be a place that might be
Lay an ambush.
Yeah, you could lay an ambush or foment an attack from this location because the Vrock does seem to return there continually. That said, you don't know what this place is or why the Vrock's interest is so keen on it.
Well, although it's a small chance, it may be a gateway to the abyss. It would be best if it was closed.
You got any way to close a gateway to the abyss?
I don't.
Those of you who are familiar with the World Wound, and I think Geyer might, Geyer probably no. Someone give me a Knowledge Arcana. Or Knowledge Planes would be even better. Knowledge Planes if you have it. Who's got it?
I do not.
Nobody's speaking up.
Everybody's like, planes? What are you talking
Knowledge
about?
Planes.
That's beautiful right there.
I have it too. If you need it. No.
Yeah, that was Bardos's role.
Oh,
1
ouch.
second.
Ouch. 15 for Lothar.
1 second.
You got Knowledge Planes, Fletcher?
Yep.
Awesome.
That's impressive, but
17. All right, so you and Lothar sort of talk a little bit, and you think you're still pretty far from the World Wound. Now, the World Wound is probably the greatest example of a connection between the Abyss and the Prime Material Plane. Probably the only extant one that exists on Galarian. But you guys are still pretty far from that area. Honestly, it seems remote that this is a breach.
Okay.
But something's in there that is got the interest of this Vrock. And it could be something you could take advantage of. Now, Gatto, you will tell that the Plateau team did not get all the way to Dresden. Even in the night, moving in the night, they were essentially caught by this. Not caught, but caution being the better part of valor. They did not move very far past the Vrock just because they, to do so would have probably given away their position. So the Plateau team never did get as far as Dresden. They only got as far as seeing where the Vrock was on the plateau. And again, it's about 8 miles down the road.
8 miles from the keep or
From the
8 miles
temple.
from us?
From the temple.
From
From you. Yeah, about 8 miles. Now, it doesn't. What Gatto can tell you is that it doesn't seem interested in extending its range any further than that. In fact, if anything, it has picked a spot that it is decided that it's going to patrol, and it continues to patrol that in more or less a very sort of static sort of patrol thing. I mean, it wavers it up a little bit, but it's not extending its range east. But Gatto, you have no doubt in your mind that a 100-person army crossing the plateau would come under the fire of this Vrock. It would get
Stand right.
Oh yeah, no doubt in your mind. All right.
But a small force could sneak up into that area and wait for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a small force could get there. Monitors
So
thing.
we should send 10 soldiers.
I don't think that's quite what the GM had in mind.
I think you guys have a long and glorious history of messing up what I have in mind. So if you guys want to send 10 soldiers, that's fine. I think we could totally do it. All right, so it's a couple hours later when the Valley guys come through. And they get back, and they have a lot of interesting things to talk about. They did get close to Dresden. Let me take care of this real quick. They did get close to the ruins of Dresden. And here, as you can see, is a map. Actually an interestingly colored and detailed map of the Dresden region that they have drawn for your edification. So there is a lot of things going on in the Dresden. So they did not see the Wrack. And knowing that it exists and that it's there, that's a scary bit. So, but a couple of things. So first thing that we should get out of the way is very few of the current inhabitants of Dresden, you suspect, are eager to call for help. So you know that the person who runs, the creature that runs Dresden right now is the Marilith Aponavicius. And he is short-tempered, tends to punish harbingers of bad news. So the defenders are often keen, including Staunton, are probably keen to defeat you guys. You do not suspect these guys who are going to run home to mama when they know they're being attacked. They're going to want to solve that problem themselves. Second, the ruins of Dresden are not really all that tactically important anymore to the demons. This is something you know. The loss of the city did its damage to morale long ago, and they underestimate that the boon that recapturing it will provide to the Crusaders. They don't realize what you guys do, which is that this can be a real feather in the Crusaders' cap, especially when the war goes so difficultly.
Hey, Les.
Yeah.
The Sword of Valor, are there stories about where it actually went? Is it possible this crater thing could be where the Sword of Valor was taken to?
You've never heard any discussion of the Sword of Valor and craters in the plateau in any real sense. As far as anyone knows, and as far as anyone has indicated, the Sword of Valor is in a vault inside Citadel Dresden and has been for decades.
There was never talk.
I mean, it's possible, but no one's ever talked about the Sword of Valor in those terms.
Didn't it have to be taken out of the city? Or?
Well, the plan is for you guys to take it out of the city. Yeah, it's a flag, and the idea is that this flag enhances. It has magical properties that that Iomade gives it when it's carried in battle. But more than anything, it's a morale booster for Crusaders. The idea that if you guys can retrieve this flag and it can be used again, that the Crusaders will regroup and it'll be like the First Crusade all over again, and they'll take the fight to these demons, and they can't be defeated if they have the flag in front of them. That kind of thing. I mean, you haven't heard anybody talk about rifts in the plateau. Honestly, you haven't heard anything about these kind of things because nobody's been up here for a long time.
The myth was that the flag protected the city, though, right? So it had to be something had to happen to it to not protect the city.
It protected the city by its presence. The idea was the flag is because the flag was based in Citadel Dresden. It protected the city of Citadel Dresden. But historically, it's been like sort of the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders, right? So the idea that the flag was at the head of an army, that army couldn't be defeated. But it wasn't. The flag itself wasn't necessarily permanently attached to Citadel Dresden, other than that it's residing there now and historically had been used from there. But it has no particular. The flag itself is the Sword of Valor is not either in history or in what you've heard has not been particularly associated with Citadel Dresden exclusively.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that then. I thought it was specific to the city.
No, not specific to the city. It can be used anywhere, but it is in the city and has been for decades, and was at the time used in the city. The Crusaders that were bearing the Sword of Valor were based out of Citadel Dresden. These are the dwarven Crusader armies that built the city. Were also the users of the Sword of Valor. So there's it's associated with Citadel Dresden, but it's not exclusive to Citadel Dresden. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
So the last thing is something we've talked about before is that the demons are throwing the bulk of their resources into offense. What troops they're holding in reserve at Drazen are there to protect locations that are more important to them. And with the bulk of their forces capable of teleporting, working along the Whirlwound southern border, there's just not enough resources left, you think, to come to Drezen's aid. You think you may have an opportunity here. All right, so we're looking at the ruins of Drazen right now. So you see where it says Ahari Riverbed?
Yep.
Okay. That is an offshoot of the Selen River Valley. The Selen River Valley is a fair distance to the south of this map. But the Ahari Riverbed is a offshoot of it and is dry. So we talked about how the Selen River has been diverted, poisoned, what have you. That's a dry riverbed and could be, and so the scouts will tell you, first thing, it could be valuable as a transportation area. I mean, you could use the riverbed to transport. There are a couple of bridges over the Ahari. One here, which is still intact, and one here directly in front of the Citadel, which is also intact. There's one over here to the easternmost portion. That bridge is down. They will tell you.
It's just a riverbed, right?
It's a riverbed. Yeah. There's no river in it. Yeah.
That's
so it's got a bank, which is about 8 feet high.
Okay.
There are certain areas which are deeper, some less so. Necessitates a bridge, but yeah, I mean, you could get an army in there.
Totally dry, no mud or anything?
It's totally dry. No, it's not muddy.
Been dry for a while.
All right. So let's look at, hold on a second. So your guys came up from the south, and the first thing they saw was South Bank. This area right here. Can you see the circle and the thing?
Yep.
Okay. So what they saw here is a large number of tieflings and human cultists camped around Dresden's southern district. And they're guarding a large amount of what appears to be captured Crusader gear. That gear could be valuable to your guys, as well as being, just a valuable spot. So, I mean, this is literally, if you guys were to go through the valley and not use the Ahari Riverbed, these guys would probably be the first guys you would have to fight. It's a fairly large army. You suspect, hold on. You suspect that there are maybe 200 tieflings and humans there, or roughly speaking, about twice the size of your current army. Okay.
But that's about the size of the army we took the last time, right?
It is. So you guys have had some success. I mean, that was the army at Valar's Gift, right?
Sure.
Was tieflings and cultists, and you beat them. Or no, Keeper's Canyon is where you beat them. And yeah, you guys beat an army of this size, approximately this size. Okay, the next thing that they did was they wound around over to the east. And they, hold on a second. They took a look at what's called Paradise Hill. So it is the most prominent tactical position in the city. Originally comprised a series of warehouses and storage silos for goods shipped upriver from Canebras. There were fortified guild houses built around it, ring of defenses, that kind of thing. Right now, there are a large amount of what are called sheer demons on the high ground east of the Citadel. It appears the demons are now using this area as a prison for captured Crusaders. Which frankly, your guys are thinking that they would want to engage in some sort of rescue.
Sure.
Okay. So that's Paradise Hill. They then came around to the south and checked out the cemeteries. And the first cemetery they looked at was Dresden Cemetery, the primary one. And I'm going to just go ahead and do all this at the same time. Okay, down in the south corner, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So Dresden Cemetery, the scouts report sightings of large numbers of undead. They are particularly ghouls. Until these undead are wiped out, they will be, and the scouts tell you, they will be a dangerous element that could easily whittle away at the troops during the night.
So when are the other 500 guys arriving for this army?
So the Shears are a medium army, so about 100 guys. And then there are ghouls, which is a large army. I'm sorry, a medium army. So this is about 50 sheer demons and about 100 ghouls in these areas. The Haunted Vault nearby is something that they spotted. Hold on a second. Where is it?
Do we have the right kind of cleric for undead?
Yeah, probably not. All right, so you do know a little bit about this place in the at the edge of the Dresden Cemetery. In 16 years that Citadel Dresden remained in Crusader possession, thousands of Crusaders lost their lives defending it. Originally, the citizens set aside this field to bury the dead, consecrating the ground to prevent the rise of undead. Eventually, though, carnage became so great they resorted to cremating remains and sprinkling the ashes across this field. The magical protections have long since faded, and the cemetery here is now a desolate place where nothing grows except for the ghouls you've seen. And the scouts will tell you even the demons and their allies, as far as they can see, avoid it. But there is a crypt here, a vault. And you've seen, the scouts will tell you that they have seen shadows hovering around this particular vault. It's a large, funereal vault in the southern edge of the Dresden Cemetery. It holds some sort of special place to these guys. You see, and what they will tell you is the ghouls avoid it as well. They haven't seen anything specific there, but these ghouls range pretty far, and but they don't go near that vault. If there's something in there, though, it would need to be stopped because it could come around and hurt the troops. All right.
That's a lot to take in. All right.
There's more.
There's more.
Okay.
Wait, there's more.
So just to tip off from the haunted vault, the largest vault in the cemetery seems to be surrounded by eerie shadows, as if some vile magic were at work within. It should be investigated, is your opinion. All right. So next we have the bridge complex itself. So realistically, if you were going to make a serious attack from the south, you would have to cross the Ahari Bridge here to get across and get in there. While the rivers of Dresden are dry, their beds and the steep angled gulches still present a difficulty for paladins to navigate, mounted or otherwise. One bridge is destroyed. Securing the remaining bridge would help the army's mobility when the time comes to attack the citadel. So there's a bridge there. As far as you know, it is just guarded. They couldn't see much. So it's probably you need a climb check to get up the embankment, but there are creatures on the bridge at all hours. Now, they weren't able to identify them, but there are creatures on the bridge. Okay.
Unidentified creatures on the bridge. Check.
All right. And then, lastly, the thing they saw was the watchtowers. So Dresden itself was designed as a fortress, and while it might have been under demonic control for a while, there are still some watchtowers that are still live. All right. There are 4 of them around the wedge. The rest of the towers, there were 3 others that were destroyed. There are 4 watchtowers that are still manned. So, there's a wall, 7 watchtowers, but 4 of them are manned. They seem to be guarded by just a few figures, but each is armed with a large catapult. Disabling as many of these catapults as possible would make the siege more effective. And that's Citadel Drazen. Any questions?
Yeah.
So you've got a pretty complicated situation here. The city itself has a lot of things going on. You have a long-range Vrock who has, is an expert flyer and has ability. I mean, you got to figure it this way. If that Vrock spots you, he's going to probably report you. And Gordon, you might get your strategic wish to draw the enemies of the demonic enemies out to this temple if that happens. But I mean, honestly, you've got a complex situation here. So, what are your thoughts, questions, anything? That's the bulk of the information that the scouts have brought back.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Even if we defeated the Vrock on the plateau, we'd still have to fight our way into Dresden.
Yes.
Yeah, the reality is the Vrock is like I said earlier, a distant early warning system. Most important to you, if you want to get even close to Dresden, you're probably going to have to take out the Vrock. He seems to be patrolling both the plateau and the valley by air. Honestly, getting 100-man army past him on either thing. I mean, the plateau scouts, and Gatto would kind of attest to this. The plateau scouts were worried that even under dark of night, them being only 4 people, they were worried that they would get spotted. 100 Crusaders, 100 heavy foot is never going to get past this thing. And he may attack, but the reality is the easiest thing for him to do would be to either teleport or fly back to Dresden and alert everybody that you guys are coming.
Any notes on the North Bank, Les?
No, the North Bank seems abandoned, is what the scouts will tell you. But they weren't able to look deep into that area because as they were coming from the south, they were observing from the south. But it looks abandoned. Doesn't look like there's anything there.
The Haunted Vault sounds interesting to Farina, only because the ghouls are naturally everyone's staying away from it that's bad. It's in the cemetery of good guys. It could be something there that could help us.
I agree.
It's possible.
My first concern, speaking as Gatto, would be the Vrock. But once that is handled, I'd like to check out the Haunted Vault. And then these 2 watchtowers in the Citadel seem to be broken.
Yeah, they're destroyed.
I wonder if we could test to see how difficult it would be to get here to this location and approach from the north.
That's why I asked about the North Bank. It just makes the most sense.
So you're talking about like right here? That green circle location? Okay. All right. Yeah, there does seem to be at least something that looks like maybe potentially a gap in their defenses. Now, the Valley Scouts will tell you flat out that they don't know what's back there. They weren't just simply not in a position to observe that portion of the Citadel.
Right.
But they did tell you that North Bank looks empty. The problem is, how do you get over there? I mean, you could theoretically take the riverbed all the way around past the cemetery and then.
Yeah, I wonder how difficult this area is to.
The scouts couldn't tell you. They weren't in a position to see that.
Yeah.
Now that said, I mean, there are.
Well, that would be
2, 3,
something after
4,
the Haunted Vault anyway, though.
Yeah, 3 potential diversionary areas. Huh?
Do we lose Gordon and Jennifer?
Are they gone? Gordon, Jennifer, are you guys gone? Oh yeah, I don't see them. Oh no, they're still
Roll 20.
Yeah, they're on
They
roll
just
20.
dropped off the thing for a second.
Okay. Well, we can continue.
Well, they may be off roll 22 because sometimes that takes a while.
It takes
Hey,
a while.
my wireless headset's about to die. I'm gonna go switch it out. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. So South Bank is the largest army. You have cultists, human cultists, and tieflings, probably Baphometians in there, which Flash Art would probably hate. To the north there on Paradise Hill, which is a tactically sound area, you have a 50-man cadre of sheer demons, which frankly probably is, when it comes to Geyer's guerrilla warfare tactics, that's probably the easiest target to pull in from there, because you could come from the east on the plateau and pull those out of there. But even though Paradise Hill historically has been the most tactically significant area, it's pretty beat up. It's an actual hill, though. If you were able to get in there if the army was able to destroy those guys, you might be able to encamp there, unbeknownst, or even like sort of on the far side of the hill, which could mean, like I'm talking about over here. You could encamp the army here in this blue area. And you would have the hill between you and the citadel, and it would provide you at least some cover. And you could use that as base ops. The Dresden Cemetery is ghouls, and a pretty substantial army of ghouls, and the Haunted Vault, a potential way in, especially if you're thinking about North Bank and the northwestern corner as being maybe the sneak-a-beak way in.
Right. Now, I believe the Haunted Vault will have a large cache of cold iron weapons, because that's what we're going to need for the demons.
Well, that's a good question. Does anybody not have a weapon sufficient to attack demons? And while you guys think about that, I'm going to pee. I'll be right back.
I'm sure there's still an issue there.
What'd you say, Mike?
Demons.
Iron standard issue there.
Okay.
Not.
Pardon?
Sarcasm.
Yeah, lots of sarcasm.
Don't most of us have magic weapons by now? Like at least a +1 something?
Well, but demons want either a cold iron or a good weapon, usually. Magical weapons will still not be sufficient for the damage.
And Matt,
I think Radiance hits that mark, but I can't. Yeah, I don't know what else is
I'm
rocking.
hoping it's a low-level demon stuff, which usually magic is all that needs. But yeah, mid to higher level.
Matt's the only one who's gotten a magic weapon out of this whole campaign so far.
Okay,
Yeah.
that rock is not going to be a low-level.
No.
Don't hate.
Don't hate. Yeah, you got a +2. I got nothing.
Yeah. The rest of us have nothing.
Well, and I have the ability to align weapons, or one.
Yeah, so at least we can do that.
And then weapon
Really
against
one weapon?
I was gonna say Storm has the ability to bypass magic DR, but
Well, I believe that align weapon is only good on one. Well, it's good on one weapon. It only lasts for 1 minute per level, so that's a combat.
Right.
I
But
also
how many times can you cast it if you did cast it more than once?
If I memorized it for all second level spells, 4 times.
4 times, okay.
And then I have weapons against evil, which
That's a good one,
also eliminates DR from evil creatures. And that's multiple weapons.
That's pretty nice.
What level is that?
Hang on a second.
And Don, just so you know, Fletcher can align his sword to good.
Weapons against evil is a first level cleric spell.
We can ask Les here if the army is carrying some cold iron, a cache of cold iron weapons too.
I'm sure he'll say yes.
He's back.
Oh, never mind.
No. And weapons against evil is 1 weapon per level to bypass the DR of evil creatures, as long as it is 5 or less and not epic. So it'll pass 5 DR as long as it's not epic DR, in which case we're all screwed anyway. So
What is it called? Weapon against evil?
weapons against evil.
Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty boss spell.
And at my level, I can get 4 weapons with it.
Just equal to Cards Against Humanity. I don't think Don, or I don't think Jen and Gordon ever popped back up.
Did they? Yeah, they dropped out of Roll 22.
Oh yeah.
Are they traveling right now?
They might have lost internet.
Are they? I don't think so. Were they?
I don't know. They're on their way to your house. They're on their way to your house at the pool party.
Yeah, they're outside.
Hey, Mike, why don't you come out from Les's basement and see if they're by the pool?
That would involve me getting up, and I'm just way too comfortable.
All right. So while you guys were talking, who doesn't have a demon-worthy weapon?
I
Well,
don't.
nobody does, really.
There's a lot of shades on it. Flashback having the only magic weapon in
Flashback's the
the
only one that's got
campaign.
a weapon.
Dan's weapon has been spell cast on it to align it,
Okay.
and so has everybody else that I'm aware of. The only person who I think has a magic weapon, except now there's a throwing dagger that comes back to you that's +1, is Braveheart.
Flashheart.
That's what I meant.
That's the guy.
One of those hearts.
Same thing.
Okay.
He's a heart guy. He's the only one with a magic weapon.
All right. So that's problematic.
Now, I was telling him, Les, it's usually like good alignment or cold iron, not just magic.
Right. Cold. All right. Let me,
I think a +2 weapon is the same as cold iron.
It's either 2 or 3. That's silver,
Well,
too.
it's a named weapon. Shouldn't it be aligned good? Is a named paladin sword?
Yeah, I would say it's got to be aligned good, Les. Doesn't it?
What are you talking about? Radiance?
Yeah.
It's absolutely aligned good.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're still back to that being one sword in a party of like 6.
Yeah, and Fletcher can align his sword good, and his alignment lasts for like hours, so that's good. But
All right,
that's-
so-
the rest of the party can't hurt.
Demon traits. So here we go. Immunity to electricity and poison. Resistance to acid 10, cold 10, fire 10. The ability to summon others of their kind. Telepathy. Their own weapons, especially even natural weapons, are treated as chaotic and evil for the purposes of resolving DR. I don't see. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's look at this demon. So I'm looking at one demon that I have popped up here, and it's DR good. Let me just look at any other demon. Hold on a second. Let's look at what's a bearded demon. That's a nice. Oh wait, that's a devil. All right, a babao.
So it's a goatee.
Common demon. DR cold iron are good. Yeah. So some demons, even cold iron's not going to work, but it looks like some of the lower level demons are going to be cold iron is going to be adequate.
Yeah, a lot of them are like they either have to be good or cold iron or both or one or the other. I mean, it's
Yeah, shears, for example, which are goat-headed humanoid, mangy, gray-hided demons, cold iron are good against their DR.
Oh, there's.
so we might be able to get good weapons. You know, we can align some weapons.
And would that be enough against the rock?
Cold iron is
I-
not
Both.
effective against rocks.
Also, that's less. What about the army? What I mean, we're talking about that scale, not just party.
Yeah.
Now they're not immune to damage, but they have damage reduction.
Correct. Yeah, Brox are Brox are. I'll give it to you. Brox or DR good. So cold iron is still going to be problematic for you guys from a point of view.
Well, no, cold iron we don't have.
Right.
We can align weapons good though, so at least we have that going for us.
Well,
And is that you?
on an individual basis.
Are you building a bookshelf over there, buddy?
Sorry, go. As always, this time of night, I always forage in the kitchen and start washing dishes. So, I always forget to put myself on mute.
Okay.
All right. It's Jennifer that yells at me.
Hey, I'm back. I heard that.
Hey, you're back.
See? He's back in town. They did it in your stead.
What happened? You guys have a brief power outage?
Yeah, we got our AC went out, so we're in the mobile home or RV tonight
Oh, no kidding.
because the house is really hot.
Ugh.
And
The
Man, bad.
your mobile game center.
Mobile.
yeah,
When you were mowing the lawn today and the 105 left, I was out weeding, almost the
Ugh.
same experience, but there was no AC to go into.
That just sucks. Why do we live here? I'm moving to Winnipeg,
Amen.
You have another decade.
the Northern Territories. I would rather have 6 foot of snow than what it was out today.
Me too. Every day of the week.
Amen, brother.
So let's look at Iceland for moving the game group.
Yeah, definitely. I'll DM every night. We'll be drunk as monkeys, and it'll be chilly as shit outside.
Think of those days that there's 24 hours of darkness. How much game you can get in?
Yeah, no kidding. And then, before the vampires eat us.
I will point out, alcohol was very expensive in Iceland. So
Was it? All right, that's off the list. Let's look at Finland.
No,
and
wait.
that's cheap in
We'll go
Finland.
to Iceland and build a distill.
Because we're
Yeah,
talking
there you
Iceland, it's too far. We're going to Canada. Canada is fine. Northern Territories, Hudson River Valley, that kind of thing. It'll be great. All right, so you guys batted around. So Gordon, Jennifer, for your guys' they've been batting around the idea of who has appropriate weapons to get past DR on demons, because it's likely to be a thing. But at the same time, guys, basically you look at this map, you've got a couple of things that lend themselves towards party activity, and you've got a couple of things that lend themselves towards army activity. Like the South Bank Army, the Paradise Hill Demons, and the ghouls in the Dresden Cemetery. Those seem like army activity. The Vault.
The haunted.
In the haunted vault, yeah.
The vault, the bridge, the watchtowers, those seem like party activity.
I would say that party activities should probably come before army activities, because once we drag the army into it, there's going to be no more sneaking around.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got to figure out, the sort of in what order. Now, and remember, you have like 4 to 5 days to conduct whatever operations you need. You figure there's going to have to be at least 1 day inside the Citadel, assuming you can get inside the Citadel.
How many times can we enlarge Fletcher? Can we enlarge him to like giant size?
No, just one per thing. Yeah, you can't make him into like a kaiju where he just like stomps.
Exactly. Raging Fletcher.
Steps on the Citadel and then scrapes out the thing to look for the flag. But no, yeah, I mean, you guys are going to have to go in there and find the damn flag.
And
Between you and
what's
it,
our concern with the Vrock? If we go and start going like to the haunted vault or whatever, the Vrock's not going to probably see us.
Gatto will tell you that the scouts that
Going to that city.
Yeah, you were nervous.
Well, but the scouts that went to the city went right to the city.
They started on the valley.
They were in the valley.
Right. So if we went through the valley, we could get there without the Vrock.
Potentially, maybe you guys, but not an army. Your opinion, the opinion of the scouts is that a small group could get through the valley, but an army could not without attracting the attention of the Vrock.
But if they did attack the Vrock's attention, it would only just warn everybody in the city. But if we've wiped out the towers and all that crap ahead of time, maybe we don't care.
I don't know. I mean, you guys think that's? I mean, you're talking about leaving your army behind, right? I mean, essentially, what you're talking about is instead of sending the army through the valley,
I think that
You're
we're
talking
gonna
about-
wipe out the occupied.
You guys are sneaking through there. I mean, but the reality is you're not going to be able to take out the demons on Paradise Hill or the cultists on South Bank. There's just too few of you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an army job.
So we got to go after the Vrock first then.
And so Brock, and then maybe the Vault, and then we could maybe even split up and have the Army with the characters, and then the rest doing a commando raid on the Vault, depending on how we want to, like maybe hit the Paradise Hill, which is where South Bank, right? Because South Bank is where maybe the cache equipment is, that we might be able to utilize to jump to the next level, or we could hit Paradise Hill first, hope that there's some viable prisoners we can enlarge our army with, and then go from there.
It does seem like that there are prisoners at, hold on. Oops. I'm looking at the wrong website. Paradise Hill. Yeah, there are prisoners there. That's what the scouts are telling you. And they could, I mean, frankly, they could end up being reinforcements. If you could bring them
We still got to
equipment.
do the Vrock.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reality is, at least according to the Plateau scout team, that Vrock, you try to bring an army through, either you bring it through the Plateau or you bring it through the valley, it's going to see it. And what it does at that point, you don't know. I mean, it could make a couple of attacks and then go back to Citadel, but I mean, if it wakes up the Citadel, it's going to make all of your jobs harder. You know, they may or may not send out skirmishers to come find you guys. That's one thing. But what they're definitely going to be on is high alert. I mean, one of your big advantages is you're able to approach surreptitiously. They don't know you're coming.
So Fletcher would say he'd like to have a Vrock's head on his mantle anyway. So
Just yeah, I know Fletcher gets sad if there's not something dead in front of him. It seems to me that if South Bank, if we take that with the army and whenever we're ready to do that, that's going to let us calculate how many more days we have left to stay here to execute operations, right? Because we said there's Crusader equipment. We assume there's also possibly food stuff and whatnot to keep our army going there.
There are humans at South Bank.
That wasn't my question.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about the idea of potential resources.
Yes, that's what I was saying. You said there's humans there. Is that what you said?
Humans and tieflings are existing south at South.
All right, so I guess things that eat food is what you're saying.
They must have some sort of food.
Right. So we take that, then we know how many days more we could add to our kitty, and then possibly then free the Paradise Hill prisoners with the equipment, the new equipment we have, and then get ready for our major operations.
So
and maybe have the army distracting from Paradise Hill while we do our end run or whatever we're going to do.
Well, and further,
Through the back door, you identify the north.
I mean, theoretically, if you did that, you could destroy the bridge over the Amari here, the Ahari Riverbed. And that seals off. Oh, seals off is too strong a word, but it certainly keeps non-flying demons and other terrestrials from charging Paradise Hill. You could put in some defenses. So this is not necessarily a bad plan. You guys take Paradise Hill. You take South Bank first, if I'm reading this right. You take South Bank first, strip them for parts, move across the river bed into Paradise Hill, kick out the demons, and then dig in.
Yeah, free the prisoners, equip everybody, and dig in and either start siege equipping that spot, or allow the demon to come to us, while the party does its sneaky attack
from the exact opposite side of the Citadel.
Right.
It's not I don't know. It doesn't sound like a bad plan. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I think the small group of us should be attacking the haunted vault.
That was first. That's okay.
That's
so you're saying same time? I was saying that the haunted vault first, then Army moves into the equipment cache.
Okay.
And Hunter Ball can tell us if we have that secret weapon you're looking for, right?
I still think we have to take care of the rock first.
Yeah, that still seems like that has to be first.
Yeah, well, that's not even at this place, right? It's farther down the road. Or
Yeah,
closer to us.
I mean, you're thinking about the siege of Dresden first. I mean, that's okay. But, I mean, so you guys are thinking hit the haunted vault like in a command.
Yeah.
And then the army will approach from the south, from the valley. Oh, you can't get out of the valley, by the way. There are multiple, Gordon, to answer your question, there are multiple ways to get out of the valley. You don't see that would be too much of a problem. So the army, which has moved through the valley, will approach from the south, hit South Bank, and try to take out the cultists in Tifa. If they're successful there, they will cross the bridge at the Ahari riverbed, move into Paradise Hill, and attack the Sheer Demons. Take out the Sheer Demons, and then dig in on Paradise Hill while killing the bridge to keep others from coming across, and basically make this a redoubt for you guys, for the Crusader army, and then just draw the attention of the denizens of the Citadel while the party swoops around from behind in through North Bank and tries to get into Citadel Dresden from the northwest. Does that make sense?
That makes the best sense to me. Does anybody have any tweaks to that?
No, sounds good.
Now let's talk about job one. How do we kill a rock or drive it off or distract it or charm it or whatever?
So a couple of things the scouts will tell you is the rock stays primarily in the air, except for a few times when it does land on the plateau. It never lands in the valley. It always lands on the plateau, and it's always within, weirdly, you know, that little rift area that we talked about. It's always within probably 100 feet. When it lands, it always lands within about 100 feet of that rift. Now, it will approach closer on foot, and there were a couple of occasions where the scout team actually saw it like standing at the edge of it, sort of looking into it, wandering around, that kind of thing. But it never went in the rift or the cave or whatever it is, and eventually it would get bored and fly back up and begin its patrols again. But it's doing flying patrols perpendicular. So if this is the river valley and here's the plateau, it's flying back and forth over both.
So they're trying to keep something in that rift, possibly? Like that's why it's flying right there?
I don't know. It's possible.
Interesting.
Your scout team didn't, even with the spyglass, did not see anything in the rift.
I think it's I think it's a female rock with eggs.
What about Karina and her kitty and maybe our new friend here? Could we get a small scouting group into that rift without being seen by the rock? I'm assuming most of us can't sneak up on it, but our stealthier people maybe.
It's possible. Under your observation, there were instances where the rock would not return to the rift for 45 minutes to an hour. So it would be it might be possible to check out the rift while the rock was circling somewhere else, was flying somewhere else.
Okay. I think that.
Go ahead.
I'm saying if we think we can get the party in there without being accosted by this rock on the way in, maybe that's job one, dungeon one to hit before we move on.
I don't know. It seems right. I mean, what do the rest of you guys think?
Yep, that's my thought.
Chuck, you've got a solid strategic mind. What do you think?
I'm a priest. I
mean, you personally.
I heal people. That's really what I do.
Mike, Gordon, Jennifer. All right.
They drop off again.
Gordon's still here.
Okay. Mike, you got something? Or Dan, you guys got something? What do you think about this plan?
What's the plan? Recap.
What'd she say? She would recap?
Yeah.
Recap the plan.
All right. So the Vrock plan is Gato, Farina, and Otto check out the rift at some point when the Vrock is flying at a distance where it won't see them approach the rift, just to see what's in there.
Maybe could Ilendar and his dragon, or his what is it called? Automaton?
Eidolon.
Eidolon, thank you. And Eidolon get in there too, or are you sneaking out? It seems that.
We're not as sneaky.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Rena's job.
Okay.
We'll scout. What are we scouting for? What are we looking for?
What is the Vrock keeping something in, or worried about something coming out, or is it protecting a nest? Is there a big holy pile of treasure or something there that will help us in our quest? I think we want to know what's in the rift that's interesting to the Vrock but it can't get to it.
I'm game. Come on, Ham.
You guys good to that? So, all right. So you guys are going to go up on the plateau. You're talking about 8 miles. So what are you guys going to do with, are you going to tell the army to begin moving forward in the valley?
Yes. At a pace they'll know from their scouts how far they need to stay back to be out of the visibility of said rock, probably.
Okay.
But the army should be mobilized, ready to go. Because this next part will need to be,
mobilized or going. So you guys are moving ahead to check out this rift. So the army is still back here at the temple.
Mobilized.
Way ahead. So they're mobilized but not moving forward in the valley. So you
Yeah,
guys
it's
go out and check this
we
thing
can
and then
send the owl or something to let him know when it's time to go.
Yeah.
that's
I thought you had an owl.
Chuck, you down with that?
Yeah, well, if I'm going along, first off, I'd like me and the owl to be invisible. But the problem is, I don't do climb. I'm not all that dexterous, and I'd have to take my armor off in order to be climbing around on any kind of rift, which is fine.
Well, okay, so the trip there is going to be fine. The plateau is relatively flat, easy terrain. If you guys are talking about going into a cave,
Or down into a rift.
or down into a rift, that might not necessarily be,
Well, I'm just ill-suited for that. Now, I can make some adjustments. Like I said, take off my armor and get rid of that penalty and try to be able to go along. But
Right.
I'm not gonna. I don't have any skill at climbing, and my character is weak. So anything straight probably gonna fail.
At one point, did you say we found a bunch of cure light potions?
dozens, but you gave them all to the army.
Army, yep. It gives them a bonus of combat now.
Okay. Can I get 50 foot of rope from someone?
I know for sure we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
have
should be a
rope.
problem.
I'll give you my rope, Don, and nobody else has one handy.
Okay.
I have 100 feet of whatever silken rope or whatever I had from my original dungeon kit.
So if we're going to put our stealthy people and they're going to go scout out this rift, that's fine. But if you end up in combat, if you want the healer there, then I'm going to have to figure out how to do that.
Serena, what do you think? If they can go invisible, you can always leave them in the entranceway if it's going to be too hairy for them to climb in.
Well, the problem is if we're still there when the Vrock gets back, it can read thoughts. Invisibility, I'm thinking, is not going to be helpful.
Fair.
So if we get in and get out, that's great. But if we get in and face something, we've got 45 minutes till that thing flies back approximately. And so, I mean, that's kind of my concern. Because I'll be useless to you in any kind of combat or anything going on that way. All I can basically do is stand there and burst heal. So
a counterpoint, what if we bring the whole party into the rift, knowing that we'll probably have to face a Vrock on the way out?
Possible, but again, we have party members like myself that aren't going to do very well if we're having to try to climb around. We don't have strength. We don't have that kind of stuff. So I guess the question really is, what is the rift? And we don't know this yet because the scouts said it was a rift, so it's a hole, a cave, whatever.
They never got within more than 1,000 feet of it.
Right.
Exactly. So we don't know how deep it is. Is it a 10-foot climb down that's not that bad? Is it a 60-foot climb down that I'm going to fail a check and die at the bottom of a pit? I mean, that kind of thing.
If we're going to fight the Vrock doesn't actually go into the rift. He stays outside it.
Right,
That's,
but I
what,
thought
that's what the scouts tell you. I mean,
I thought the idea
Rock has
was
never
to-
gone in it.
Yeah, well, he's gonna warn them that we're coming, so we don't want to be there.
right, but the idea I thought was to look in the rift and see what keeps that thing's attention there.
Right. That is the idea. So maybe it's just a looky-loo, and we send the 3 fastest guys without the healer.
But the problem is if you go down to look and you find out that it's something dangerous, then they're going to be without a healer. And I don't think too many people have cure potions, and the ones that we found we gave to the army. So it's going to kind of leave them without much in the way of healing.
Look at I still have 1 left that I'm happy to give up. I had 3 originally, but I used them earlier than the last 2 adventures. But I'm happy to give 1 up for the common good and welfare of the party.
Do you guys think you should take a quick inventory about who has personal healing?
Yep.
If we listen to what you're saying, Chuck, we could just step in and just see if the rift is something we feel like we even need to go into.
Yeah. It could.
Get
Yeah,
down there.
that we could take the people that we have that would be good at this particular thing. And again, try to send them in on a more detailed scouting mission during the period where the Vrock's not there, and come right back out and tell us what's there. And if it works that way, then that would be awesome. My only concern is if it doesn't work that way, then we would split the party and there's only going to be 3 people in this dangerous situation.
I don't think we should go down deep into the rift. I think we should look down into see if there's even activity, scratch marks, any signs of. I mean, it could just be a rift, like
Yeah.
a hill or a tree.
Maybe we should send Baru in. I mean, I've got a rat who's not going to
Yeah,
attract the
That's
demon's
a great
attention.
idea.
He can still,
Well,
So
that didn't work so well last time Burrow was out. he got munched by a demon, didn't he?
That was a failed roll, though.
We had to go on a Baru rescue mission.
The other thing is there a knowledge check? I mean, I get that this might be individualized, but is there a knowledge check that would even sort of present options to kind of along the lines of the thing's got a nest? I'm assuming because it's a demon, that's not the case, because I don't think that they birth young that way. But is there a knowledge check? Is it planes or nature or whatever that would maybe?
yeah, knowledge planes. Yeah, absolutely. You could probably try to get some information about that.
Oh, I'm not all that great at it, but I'll try that.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, you're not sure how Vrocks reproduce. It's
And I'm pretty sure I don't want to know.
well, I mean, they are sort of bird-like, so the concept of nest and eggs is probably not super far off. I'm certainly using terrestrial. Is that a knowledge planes?
yeah.
So you're not entirely sure how Vrocks reproduce either. But you think that they may nest. I mean, here's the thing though, when you talk to the scouts, when you talk to Gatto about it, this Vrock never went in that rift. He would spend time, and sometimes he wouldn't get as close as maybe 100 feet and then take off again. So sometimes he would get very close and sort of peer in and that kind of thing. And sometimes he would just sort of land, wander around a bit, and then take off again. So if this was a clutch of eggs or something like that, I mean, I don't know how maternal a demon bird is going to be, but I don't know. It didn't. If you ask the scouts and you ask Gatto and you sort of tease out some questions for him, it doesn't sound to you like nest. It sounds like something else.
So what if we were to take everybody up there, but leave the stealthy ones, put them up front, leave the other ones back not too far behind, check it out, come back with the information, let the Vrock land, and then take off again. That'll give us another 45-minute window. We all go in.
Well, the problem
Except for
is
the telepath thing. Right?
yeah, there's a telepath. aspect, and you don't know what the range is on that. But historically, we feel like demons have a pretty long range on their telepathy.
There's a way to mask telepathy? I don't know anything about telepathy.
Nobody has knowledge demons or anything like that.
I think knowledge demons goes with knowledge planes. They don't. I don't believe they have it separated out. That.
Okay, give me Chuck. Give me another knowledge plane. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's high. You know that many demons can read minds out to around 100 feet.
Well, that's fine. We could be outside of that range.
You said it didn't get closer to 100 yards most of the time, so yeah, we could probably be out of that range depending what's in the rift.
There's also visual acuity too. So right, so you're talking about a plateau. There's no vegetation up here. It's pretty bare. I mean, there are certain things like if you were to rub a cloak with like the reddish dust of the plateau and throw it over yourself, I mean, a cursory glance will not, but like people walking across that plateau in broad daylight, that's going to attract attention.
Mute, Matt, mute.
I'm sorry. You said midnight snack part.
Ew. Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay, it sounded like you had a question.
No. Matt's dishes were like pounding.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, if you could keep 100 feet away from the rock, it probably the telepathy wouldn't necessarily kick in. He wouldn't be able to discover you. But also the problem is there's just not a lot of cover on top of this plateau. It is very much like a table mesa, where a few rocks here, a few rocks there.
And he'll most likely strafe if we try to fight him in the open.
Oh, that would be your guess. I mean, he's going to do flyby attacks and drop spores on you and shit like that, screech at you. Until he gets bored with it and decides to fly back and alert the entire city that there's a bunch of crusaders heading his way.
So weren't we doing this at night though? I mean, I thought we had decided we were going to wait till nighttime.
It's night now. I mean, it could take place at night. So the question is, at that point, does that give the rock advantage, or does it give you guys the advantage?
Well, dark vision's 120 feet typically.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you can see a mile away in the day, but you can see 120 feet with dark vision. So, yeah, it's a huge advantage
So we could
as far
plant
as
the
getting
rest of
close.
the team. Yeah, plant the rest of the team 150 feet out.
Demons have dark vision too, though.
Yeah, but they can only see 120 feet or whatever. I mean, they can't see the half a mile that you can see in daylight.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
How many of us have dark vision?
Bardos does.
Cat,
Illandar does.
I have low light.
Yeah, the half
Yeah,
elves.
all three half elves have low light.
Oh, actually.
What's the moon tonight, Les?
I gotta check. Hold on.
You're gonna have low light.
Low light.
Rova.
So does I believe.
Can I ask you a question to take one step back? Did we decide we were sending Baru in, or are we sending in all the stealthy peeps?
I mean, I think Baru could cover some ground safely.
Well, Baru moves slow, but he can stealth and he can look at things and tell me what he's seeing.
And Otto can do the same thing. I can talk to Otto
Yeah, Otto's gonna stand out here though.
in the rift. Once he's inside, he won't. But getting to it.
Can we strap Baru to Otto, get him there fast, and, as a stealth incursion, and then drop the rat off, and the cat comes back?
Otto can carry Baru in his mouth.
I'm sure Baru would go for that.
Yeah. Just climb to the cat's mouth.
All right. Baru, hold still while the bird comes and picks you off. He's gonna go drop you down a chasm. Tell us what you see.
Might trust Storm to do that, but definitely not the leopard.
Wow.
What about the owl?
God.
No.
Have you seen what an owl's diet consists of? Number
You
one
know
on the list.
I actually have an owl that lives in my garden. And he's noisy as heck at night.
Yeah, number one on the list, rat.
Yeah, he eats squirrels.
God, they'll eat chickens. They'll eat anything.
They're a type of rat.
Yeah, they're a type of rat. That's what he likes is squirrels.
Yeah, they're just tree rats.
Rats are just ugly squirrels. Yeah.
Although I'm pretty sure rats are smarter.
Oh, definitely.
Look up obstacle courses and squirrels. Squirrels are pretty smart, actually.
Squirrels are persistent.
Not much moon. So we're on 11 Rova, or 12 Rova, actually. You've got waning moon, so small crescent, basically, at this point. The new moon is on the 15th.
Well, there's light, though. I mean,
Yeah, very little, though. You've got a little you've got a little slice of moon here. New moon is 3 days away.
that's what low light is, though. I mean, if it's, well,
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Low light would work perfect.
I have that.
Yeah, I have that too.
Fletcher too.
We could go
Once-
take a look and not go far down the wrist. You know, if we're gonna,
Once again, I'm the fly in the ointment. I'm human. I have Christ. I'm blind.
Just light a torch, dude. Everything will be fine.
He'll just be the target.
A blazing torch in the middle of an empty plateau.
I
No
have
one
this.
will be the wiser.
I
No,
still
no.
have this. I still have this coin with light on it. I can just go carry that around with me.
Just throw it up. But
Oh yeah, that'd be totally fine.
borrow the Drow's headband and just mount it right on the front, like one of those miner's caps, and just it'll be perfect. I like it.
I don't loan that out.
What? Why not? It's too sweaty. It's okay.
fairy cloth is hard to come by.
All right. So, what is your guys' plan?
Good question.
We're trying to route the clock for the next 13 minutes on the squirrel debate. So thanks for interrupting us again, Les.
What did he say?
I have no idea what he said.
We
I
have
said you were trying to route the clock on a squirrel debate when you came back, wanted to bring us back to the game here.
Matt, you sound like somebody who smoked and had that operation where they have the.
All right.
I think we should go fight the Vrock.
And Charlie Brown's teacher has been heard from.
All right. So coming up on new moon. So not super bright out at night, but perfect for low light visioners. Hopefully Vrocks are not low light visioners.
I think we should try the plan based on Gordon's thoughts that the 120 foot is all that thing can see and 100 foot is its limit for sensing us. So if we put the rest of the party 200 feet out, and then the quiet ones, Gatto and Otto will go in and see what's to see, come back and formulate a better plan and go for it.
Love it.
I like that.
Okay.
So it's you, the cat, Big Rat, and the other cat, the Spanish cat.
Can't understand you, hon.
Yeah, say that again. Your voice is like weirdly modulated.
All right. Can you hear me better?
Little.
A little. It's not that lack of volume is not your problem.
Huh. All right. This headset might be dying too, so I had nothing to contribute.
It's just completely distorted. Nothing to contribute. I heard that. All right. So you're saying you guys are going to approach the rift area. Then you're going to split up into two pieces. One of the melee fighters are going to hang back out of what you would consider telepathy and vision range. while the rest of you were stealth closer to the rift and check that out, see what is so attractive to the Vrak. And this is while the Vrak is off patrolling in, far enough away where you can approach undetected, correct?
Yep.
Right.
All right, cool. What are you going to do with the army? They're just going to the last I remember is you guys told them they were going to hang back and wait for a signal to begin moving down the Selen River Valley towards Dresden. Is that still accurate?
If we end up in trouble and we're running, is there somewhere we can set them up so we can run the Vrak right into a trap?
Well, the bulk of the army is down in the river valley. So I guess, if you guys were going to go down there moving quickly, but the thing is, the Vrak itself is 8 miles from the temple. So you guys you're talking about a morning's walk minimum to get close to where this guy's patrolling. And he has, according to the scouts, he's given no indication that he has any desire to move farther east and check it out. He's unaware that you guys are there.
I think the army should begin moving in the direction, but pick a spot where we know the Vrak won't see it yet. At least it's getting closer, but not too far.
Right.
Yeah, like 2 miles out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Have the scouts found places where the army could hide in between here and?
The valley is full of areas. So it's like we talked a little bit about earlier. Is like if you, the valley, the Selen River Valley gets narrower as it gets closer to Dresden. So it's not a bad hiding place, and to move through the Selen River Valley is not a terrible idea. The problem is the Vrak is airborne. And it can fly over that. And whereas we talked earlier about having somebody standing at the edge of the plateau looking down in the valley and being able to easily see an army moving through there, same principle applies with a flying creature. And it is what the scouts will tell you, it is overflying the river valley. Essentially what the demons have done is that we're going to detail this Vrak to guard our eastern frontier, and he's going to cover both the river valley and the plateau because he's an airborne creature. And basically he's flying cardinal points back and forth very lazily, but at the same time he's exhibiting this weird behavior of checking out this rift periodically that he returns to all the time.
We need a plan to be able to see down into the rift without going too far down in it.
Does low light vision give you the ability to see like you can see normally? I don't remember. How does that work?
Low light is essentially an analog for, like, you ever see when they like on TV when they flip to the light intensifier goggles? That's kind of what low light is. It's a bit more detailed, but it's sort of like low light goggle, like light intensifier goggles.
Doesn't it have like a range like 2 times? What's the
typical low light? I don't think is much longer than normal vision. I think it's either 30 or 60. Hold on a second.
In daylight, normal vision you can see a mile away.
Totally.
No.
So does low light do that, or? I don't think low light does that though. I think low light is more.
I always thought it was half the distance of dark vision.
Yeah, that's my memory.
Low light. So here we go. Characters with low light vision have eyes that are so sensitive to light that they can see twice as far as normal in dim light. Low light vision is color vision. A spellcaster with low light vision can read a scroll along with as long as even the tiniest candle flame is next to him as the source of light. Characters with low light can see outdoors on a moonlit night as well as they could see during the day. So if you have moon, you could see, and you were using one of the soldier spyglasses, you could see 3 miles away. The problem is the moon, you're on a waning moon. The new moon is only 3 days away, which means you have a sliver of moon, which is okay, but it's not great. I mean, it's not like a full moon.
This is the direct spell. Stone calls it on
So what I'm trying to figure out is if the Varrock can see at night when he's patrolling and flying. Is he doing this 24/7, this flying?
Pretty much.
So with low light vision, though, can he see? So what you're saying, on a waning moon, he can't see that far.
Well, if he has low light vision, so most demons do not have low light; they have dark vision, and dark vision is a different animal.
So he could see 3 miles.
So dark vision is the extraordinary ability to see with no light source at all out to the range specified for the creature. Dark vision is black and white only. It does not allow characters to see anything they could not see otherwise. Invisible objects are still invisible. Illusions are still invisible as what they seem to be. Likewise, dark vision subjects a creature to gaze attacks. The presence of light does not spoil dark vision.
But it's typically like 60 feet or 120 feet.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah, it's not that far.
So at night, this demon patrolling, I mean, he's got to fly close to the ground to even see in front of his face.
At night? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they saw him. They observed him during the day. But maybe at night he sticks closer to whatever he wants to stick to. But I mean, to hear the scouts tell it, this Brock has been detached from Dresden to observe the eastern frontier. He's probably going to take his business pretty seriously. Which means even at night, he's going to be using what what powers he has. Now he has dark vision, but if it's 100 feet, that means he's going to be flying pretty close to stuff and diving into the Rift Valley, which is 100 feet deep. Not here it isn't, but even so, yeah, the fact is you just simply don't know what his nighttime behavior is.
But it sounds like our plan is still a good plan.
Yeah, it does. Hey, Lothar, can your owl hang out with us so if we get into trouble, it can go back and get you?
Yes.
There we go.
We just have to prearrange some signal that you would give it to come back to me.
Okay. So this is the plan you guys are going with?
I'll put together a whistle signal with you, Lothar, I guess. Since that'll travel the furthest if we happen to be in the rift, which I hope we don't go down into too far.
Okay. All right. It is 11:58. You guys have a plan. We will, the next time we play A-Team, we will start with you guys moving out onto the plateau to go check out this rift and see if you can pull the beard of a rock demon. In the interim, I have a couple of things I'm going to get you. Days versus events, siege points, and experience points by the next time we play. Next Sunday night, B-Team, 4 hours. Bring your A game. For B team, that you still have a sorcerer on the run, and you guys might end up staying in Qadira for a little bit more time. That's all the hints I'm going to get you.
Next week we start at 8
We started at 8 on Sunday night.
Central Time.
Central Time, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
See y'all then.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great
Right
one.
on. Thanks.
And I'll see you in a week.
Bye.